All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to whatever tonight's going to be. I mean, I really don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's going to transpire with this Twitter, Twitter gate, Twitter files, the hashtag Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Twitter facts is what we should call it. Um, but they're releasing the second bit of what they're calling episode 2, and it should be around 5 o'clock tonight Eastern time, so roughly an hour. So what I wanted to do is go through all 37 or 38 tweets that this journalist Matt Tabibi wrote yesterday, and I want to go through it all because I think it's kind of important. And I'm going to try not to provide a lot of commentary throughout. I did do some fact checking through certain things, and then I'll rant for a little bit after that, and then hopefully by then maybe they'll start on time tonight. What do you think the over under on them starting on time is? I don't think it's very good. Which may be, I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm freaking tired. I've been cleaning the store all day and trying to get that settled. So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm opening a free coffee shop in Woodstock, Virginia. I have my health inspection on Tuesday morning. So I am a little bit panicked because it's much sooner than I was prepared for. So hopefully everything goes well. Keep your fingers crossed. And if you want to support that, there's a simple way of doing it. If you take this link that is not going to be in your chat because I'm not prepared, but you could support the show that way. Hold on one second. Let me just get that. So I have that queued up, ready to go. But what you could do, you could send super chats if you really want to, but the best way to support the stream is to use this link. This link has links to our Cash App. It's got links to PayPal. You can pay with a credit card, or Zelle information if you want. All right, so let's get into this. You guys may remember last night, Matt Tabibi started off, and this was his first tweet. They were supposed to start at 5 o'clock Eastern time. They started at 6:34 p.m. First tweet was written out, and it said Twitter files, and then shortly after that, they go on to the second tweet, which says, "You're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter." It says the Twitter files tell an incredible story from one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of a human-built mechanism grown out of the control of its designer. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making a true real-time global conversation possible for the first time ever. In an early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the, quote, power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well, first a little, and then more often, then consistently. And then here's the first big tweet that everyone was like, oh, the bomb is dropped. So this is the first big tweet. By 2020, requests connected to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another more to review from the Biden team, and the reply would come back handled. And what you see here are 5 tweets. Okay, these are 5 tweets. All of them were deleted. And an internal Twitter person wrote more to review from the Biden team, which leads you to believe that the Biden team, granted, remember that Joe Biden was not president at that time. He was a private citizen, but they're saying more to review from the Biden team. So I'll be honest, I did the hard work, so you guys didn't need to. I looked up every single one of those in the Wayback Machine to find out what the actual tweet entailed. Okay, it's very important. And I'm not advocating for Twitter here, but what we do is we provide the facts. I'll provide opinion at the end, but these are facts. Twitter does have a longstanding policy against not consensual pornographic images. Okay, that means images where one party doesn't consent to that being put up there. Okay, keep that in mind. The first tweet, which you see there, it says Jared87983 561. That is an account that goes under Ding Gang, Ding_gang. It had 5 photos on that tweet that was deleted by Twitter, 4 of which contained photos of Hunter Biden's wang or sexual intercourse. They were all pornographic photos, and then one photo of the Biden family. Obviously, they were based on Twitter's terms of service. That picture would have been deleted because, well, it's they're not allowed to have pornographic material on there because they can't verify that Hunter Biden wanted that photo on the web. Therefore, it would have been gone. The second one, where it says let3481, that was by user at let3481. It's a Japanese Twitter account. And on that day, on the 24th, there was indeed a deleted tweet. We can't see what it was, but I was able to uncover that it was a video, most likely a video that was banned for some reason. The third one, which you see here, is JSX or JSJX_2. That was also that person's username. Guess what the images was? Hunter Biden pornographic. It was porn. The fourth one, which it went by the @ symbol OZWENYA. Guess what that was? I don't know, because it was deleted. So we can't tell what that was, but I'll tell you that the entire account is written in Chinese. Yeah, it's weird. The fifth one, which you see there, Guy Squigs, that account is actually still live right now. This video has been deleted, or this picture, the imagery, because he had more porn posted, that was also deleted. So of all of these images, which is kind of interesting, 2 of the 3 that I just mentioned were either in a different language, like the Japanese one was Japanese. Literally, the location was in Japan. And then the 4th one, Oswinga, is completely in Chinese when you look at its profile. But I mean, so these are the 5 tweets that they referenced that the Biden team was asking Twitter to delete. Everyone said that this is proof that they were trying to hide the Hunter Biden story. But the fact of the matter is that most likely at least 3 of the 5 here contain pornographic images, which were a violation outside of Hunter Biden's laptop. This would have never been permitted on Twitter anyway. But that's the truth. We provide the truth for you. All right. And what you make of that truth is up to you. But that's the truth. It is kind of concerning, but at the same time, that is the truth. And then the next tweet that they wrote is, it says celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party. And then it says, we don't know who actually sent this. It says, a blanked out Twitter user wrote, I grabbed the first one under SI, deferred to safety on the second high profile one. Okay. And you see the name there for we'll go in order. So Stephen Luan posted links to gtv.org. gtv.org, when you go to their website, it actually has a disclaimer saying that although the website is dedicated to the anti-Chinese Communist Party and trying to get rid of CCP in China, they have found themselves to be a holding ground for all of Hunter Biden's porn. And it literally has it. When you type in their website, it literally has that disclaimer. So the links on this first account linked over to gtv.org, who was hosting Hunter Biden's porn videos. One of the videos that it linked to was Hunter apparently having sex with someone. The second video that it apparently linked to was Hunter Biden doing drugs, I think in the nude. But, I didn't watch the videos. I got to as far as gtv.org, and I've already seen enough of Hunter Biden, because when you look up all of these tweets, it actually shows what the tweet was, the original tweet. So I've seen entirely too much of Hunter Biden for one day, and I never want to see it again. Now, the second tweet, which is a celebrity, James Woods, never really heard of the guy. I've seen his tweet before, blah, 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 but I never really heard of the guy. James Wood has a long time. Well, actually, before I go into who James Wood is, so this tweet that was deleted, and they said they had to defer to safety because that James Wood is a celebrity. He posted Hunter Biden porn, which again, based on Twitter's guidelines, outside of the whole Hunter Biden laptop shit, none of this would have been permitted on the platform anyway. Do you know what I mean? None of the 7 tweets that they used as examples here would have been permitted on the platform anyway. But I looked up James Wood too, because I heard some I heard talk last night that he was suing Twitter, blah, blah, blah. He's literally suing Twitter for the right to post a Hunter Biden dick pic. No joke. I am not joking at all. And I'll be honest, he once called the lady, what did he say? I don't even want to repeat it, but he once called the lady, said that she was a drug user. It turns out she wasn't, and she sued him, and he had to pay $10 million. And then he filed a lawsuit against someone else because the lady sued him because he labeled her as a Nazi at one of Donald Trump's events, and so she sued him. That was back in 2017, and then he actually sued a Twitter account because the person said, listen, everyone is running for James Woods, get in the back of James Woods. I don't think that is a good guy to use as an example, because he's currently suing someone that called him, a cocaine addict, or he's literally suing someone for $3 million, saying it defamed his character for someone on Twitter that wrote that he's doing cocaine or something like that, so which is, it's kind of weird, but that's a little background. I said I wasn't going to do that, but I apologize. Anyway, so both of those tweets, either one linked to porn or one was porn. James Wood posted Hunter Biden's wang on social media, and now he's claiming that he's going to sue Twitter because he feels like he was inappropriately censored because it was his freedom of speech to post nude photos of some random dude on his platform, which I don't know why anyone would want to do that. Regardless of who it is, it's skeezy. It's like the revenge porn thing. Anyway, so then it goes on. All right. And by now, everyone on social media is abuzz. They're like, holy crap, they interfered, blah, blah, blah. And everyone was saying that, like, the bombs have been dropped. Everybody was freaking out last night on social media. All right. Matt Taibbi, his 10th tweet, said both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, the system wasn't balanced. And this is very interesting. The system wasn't balanced. It was overwhelming. It was based on contacts, because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people with one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, more to the left, Democrats, than to the right. And then they posted contributions to Democrats versus Republicans for the election years 2022, 2020, and 2018. Obviously, you see that they are very left-leaning over there. Now, this would have been, open secrets, and it links to it. It's just open secrets. It's public information. This is not unknown. We already knew this. We already knew a lot of this, but keep in mind, remember this tweet, number 10, because we're going to go back to that in a minute, because there's a reason they glanced over it really quick. The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it's also the assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives. And then it says, okay, there was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it, let's jump forward, he writes. Let's go. Number 16, the Twitter Files Part 1, how and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story. And then it goes on to say, on October 14th, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails, an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. It then says, Twitter took the extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it may be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool reserved for extreme cases, e.g. child pornography. Now, Fox News has been running with this topic all day, which is weird. White House spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump campaign staffer Mike Hahn, who seethed, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. Now, this is the email from Mike Hahn, who was working for the Trump campaign, to everybody at Twitter that he could muster. And it says, Kayleigh McEnany has been locked out of her account for simply talking about the New York Post story. All she did was cite the story and firsthand reporting that had been reported by other outlets not disputed by the Biden campaign. I need an answer immediately on when and how she will be unlocked. I don't appreciate how nobody on this team called me regarding the news that you'll be censoring news articles. I also don't appreciate how nobody on this team regarding the news how nobody on this team called me regarding that you would be censoring news articles. Like I said, let's pretend to at least care for the next 20 days, seemingly until the election was done. And then this led to public policy executive Caroline Strom to send out a polite what the F query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms policy teams, who had little less control over the moderation and the trust and safety teams. So Caroline Strom wrote, "Hi team, are you able to take a closer look at Kayleigh McEnany's account?" Oh, I just closed the wrong page. All right, hold on. And so then it goes on. It says, Strom, thanks for reaching out. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy, adding them there for further guidance. And why does it keep dropping down all the way over there? That's weird stuff. And then here's the next tweet. It says, although several sources recalled hearing about general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. So Democrats right now are jumping on this, thinking that this... Well, see, I gotta ad-lib a little bit. So Democrats right now on social media and on some of the news channels are saying, well, listen, of everything they presented right here, they, on tweet number 22, Matt Taibbi said that there was no government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, I even said that yesterday because I was not reading this correctly. You know what I was missing? He's talking about foreign hacks. There is no evidence that I've seen of any government. Well, see, but then he said any government. And trust me, this is already debunked. So we'll talk about it in a minute. But he writes this, which kind of screws everybody up because then everybody's like, wait, are you telling me that the government wasn't involved in the laptop story? Because everyone's thought that the FBI had something to do, and it turns out they did. We'll talk about that in a second. Don't worry. The 23rd tweet, the decision was made at highest levels of the company, but without, I thought this was very peculiar when we were going over it live last night, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with a former head of legal policy and trust, Vijaya God playing a God role. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized it wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. This quote is as good as nothing because there's no value to it. There's no employee information there. Why, if it says former employee, there's no information here. So I don't like this. This you couldn't even print this in an article. It wouldn't pass the sniffing test. Anyway, it says the 25th tweet says, you can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including God and former trust and safety chief Yoel Roth. Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this unsafe. And that's what he wrote. And he said, I think the best explainability argument for this externally would be we're waiting to understand if this story is a result of hacked materials. You'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for making the link unsafe. Trenton Kennedy CC'd everybody in it to trying to get more people to pay attention. Katie Roseborough said, will we also mark similar stories as unsafe, in reference to Fox News article about the laptop as well. By this point, everyone knew this was effed, according to one former employee who will not be named, which means that this probably wasn't actually said. And trust me, guys, I do that with CNN, so I'm going to do it here. If the person is not going to be named, they don't exist, and you can't use that quote to pass your judgment. It's the same way I reference a CNN article. I like to keep things uniform. Anyway, this email goes on and said the policy basis is hacked materials, though as discussed, this is an emergent situation where the facts remain unclear. Remember his name too. Given the severe risks and lessons here of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing content from being amplified. Uh, Someone said the lady Vijaya, I don't know how you say her name. I'm just going to say V, said, what's a warning that will come up? Yoel Roth said, new. When you click on the link, you'll see a generic, unsafe URL messages, references spam, malware, and violations of Twitter rules. Not ideal, but the only thing we have. Ian Plunkett said, whatever we do in the comms, this will be a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Let's make sure we're proactively and cautiously interpreting this through the lens of our hacked materials policy and allowing a link with a warning with a significant reduction of the post. Now, here is the former VP of comms, Brandon Borman, said, to Ian's point, can we truthfully claim that it is part of the policy, i.e., as part of our approach or part of our approach to addressing potentially hacked materials? We are limiting visibility of related stories on Twitter while our investigation is ongoing. To which former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker, who was also the Attorney General for the FBI, I believe, or he was a lead attorney for the FBI. I believe. Someone could fact check me on that. He was then Twitter's chief counsel, and he says, I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. At this stage, however, I believe it's reasonable for us to assume that they may have been, and that caution is warranted. There are some facts that indicate the materials may have been hacked, while there are others indicating that it was a computer that was either abandoned or the owner consented to allow the repair shop to access it for some purpose. We simply need more information. And keep in mind, Yoel Roth is on all these emails. Number 29, a fundamental problem with tech companies and content moderation. Many people in charge of speech know or care little about speech and have to be told the basics by outsiders. To wit, in one humorous exchange on day one, Democrat Congressman Ro Khanna reached out to God to gently suggest that she hop on the phone to talk about the backlash in the speech. Khanna was the only Democrat official who Matt Taibbi could find that expressed any concern regarding this. This email from Ro Khanna to somebody said, generating huge backlash on Hillary speech. Happy to chat if you're up for it. The next tweet, she replied very quickly and said, hi, Congressman Khanna. Thank you for reaching out, as we appreciate the heads up. We put out a clarifying thread of tweets earlier this evening to explain our policy around the posting of private information and linking directly to hacked materials. The press secretary's account was not permanently suspended. We requested that she delete the tweet containing material that's in violation of our rules, and her account is restricted until she complies. I'll be happy to jump on the phone if helpful. My team in D.C., Jessica and Lauren, are copied here and also available to discuss, she said. Khanna tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment, mention of which is generally hard to find in the files. And then this is probably one of the best statements of this whole thing. It restored a little bit of faith in the humanity for me, because Ro Khanna wrote to their God, the V. She wrote to V, said, hope you're well, V. This seems like a violation of the First Amendment principles. There was a hack of classified information or information that it could expose a serious war crime, and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have that right. A journalist should not be held accountable for illegal actions of the source unless they actively aided in the hack. So to restrict the distribution of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in the keeping of the principles of New York Times versus Sullivan. I say this as a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong. He's wrong. Anyway, but the story has now become more about censorship than the relatively innocuous emails, and it's become a bigger deal than it would have been. It also is now leading to serious efforts to curtail Section 230, many of which would have been a mistake. Anyway, I believe Twitter itself should curtail what it recommends or puts in trending news, and your policy against QAnon groups is all good. It's a hard balance. But in the heat of presidential campaigns, restricting dissemination of newspaper articles, even if the New York Post is far right, seems like it will invite more backlash than it will do good. Please keep this communication just between us and Jack, and no need to CC the team or forward to them. Just wanted to offer my 2 cents. I kind of laughed at that because he asked this not be made public, and now everybody knows about it. Anyway, within a day, head of public policy Lauren Culbertson receives a ghastly letter report from Carl Szabo of the research firm NetChoice, which had already polled 12 members of Congress, 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats from the House Judiciary's Committee to Representative Judy Chu's office, saying that they met with them. And then it goes on, and I don't know why they cut this into different tweets. NetChoice lets Twitter know that a bloodbath awaits in an upcoming Hill hearings, with members saying it's a tipping point, complaining that tech has grown so big they can't even regulate themselves. Government may need to intervene. He wrote, high-level takeaway, every Republican said this is a tipping point, it's just too much, and both Democrats and the Republicans were angry by the response. Szabo reports, and this is why I'm kind of curious, why they didn't, let me double check something before I say that. I'm kind of curious why they didn't, oh yeah, they did. They put the date. So this was the day after, less than 24 hours. Okay. He tweets, Szabo reports to Twitter that some Hill figures are characterizing the laptop story as Tech Access Hollywood's Tech Access Hollywood moment, saying with just how bad this situation is. They said that, and it has no Hillary to hide behind. Others were more blunt, saying tech is screwed, and rightfully so. Twitter files continued. This is number 36. The First Amendment isn't absolute. This is kind of interesting. This is about Szabo still. This is still his letters. What is it, 6 tweets now, or just his letter? The Democrats, meanwhile, complain that the companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the water and make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. They link to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong, but because the press wouldn't let the story go, it became a scandal far out of proportion. In their mind, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content, so when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. The Democrats were in agreement social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. When pushed on how the government might insist on that, consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment isn't absolute, which is that's the statement from the Democrats. According to that guy. In an amazing subplot of the Twitter Hunter Biden laptop affairs, how much was done without the knowledge of Jack Dorsey and how long it took for the situation to get uneffed, according to, or how long it took the situation to get uneffed, as one ex-employee put it. So it probably didn't happen. There are multiple instances in the files of Dorsey intervening to question suspensions and other moderation actions for accounts across the political spectrum. The problem with the hacked material ruling, several sources said, it was that it normally required an official law enforcement finding of a hack, but such a finding never appeared throughout what one executive describes as a whirlwind 24-hour company-wide mess. So apparently this is I don't know who this is from. Maybe it's from Jack Dorsey. I'm assuming it's from Jack Dorsey. It says, as you are probably aware, Twitter action tweets yesterday regarding the 2 New York Post articles that were tweeted out that allegedly included pictures and screenshots of emails from a laptop that allegedly belonged to Hunter Biden, presidential candidate Joe Biden's son. Our teams made the determination that the materials fall under our hacked materials policy, in addition to sharing personal information. So links were actioned. As you may know, this existing policy framework was launched in 2018 to mitigate real-time harm based on hack and leak scenarios coming out of the 2016 election. Several high-profile accounts, including press outlets, were impacted by the decision and were actioned. Unfortunately, the language that was provided in the product may have created the confusion, indicating that the links were spam or unsafe. Consequently, Twitter Safety explained the reasoning here in a thread. This morning, the New York Post tweeted additional links to stories that contained pictures and screenshots of emails that were also actioned. The teams determined that a Trump campaign tweet that previously was actioned for containing PPI would not be reaction when it was retweeted without the PPI blurred. I know there are questions that you probably have, and you are probably getting a lot of incoming stakeholders, governmental, academic, civil society, etc. In the last 24 hours certainly has been a whirlwind with a lot of curves and unknowns, and we fully expect that issues surrounding this matter will continue to swirl in the coming days. So thank you everyone for your patience, this person wrote. This must be the unnamed executive, which I don't know why they named them, but they named everybody else. Isn't that kind of fishy to you? At least I find it fishy. And yeah, and then that's it. And then he says, it's been a whirlwind 96 hours for me. There are much more to come, including answers to questions about issues like shadow banning, boosting follower accounts, blah, blah, blah. So that's probably what we're going to hear today. So that pretty much concludes just a bit about what they're talking about yesterday and why so many people were up in arms, right? Because by that, it seems that Twitter is in fact censoring stories based on a political ideology. And they very well might have been. It seems that way, right? So you pay attention. Well, yeah. Let me go back to a couple of tweets. Tweet number 10. Remember that one that I said we're going to go back to? Because I thought it was kind of important. But I didn't want to break access to it. So tweet number 10 was both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. That should be one of the most concerning tweets of this whole thing. Who knows why that should be one of the most concerning tweets about this whole thing? Does anybody know? Someone said pronunciation. Yeah, I'm not very good at pronunciation. I don't care. But why would this be one of the most important tweets or one of the most damning tweets of everything? And no one's going to say anything, apparently. So I will tell you, and we're on a delay. So I'll tell you. Well, actually, I wanted to wait to see if anyone else has picked this up. I'm not seeing anybody. Yeah, there you go, Tara. And tweet a sweet tat. Because here, you know, when a private company has a right to do whatever they want on their platform, right? You know who's not allowed to interfere with free speech and when it becomes a crime? When the government does it. The Trump White House was literally advising Twitter to delete tweets. It says it right there. That is the most damning evidence of weirdness going on here. The Trump White House had a direct line to Twitter to censor tweets. We don't know what tweets. They didn't present any of those tweets. The only tweets that they presented that were examples of censorship were not examples of censorship. They were all posting pornographic material and they had to be taken out. Do you know what I mean? So, like, to me, this kind of caught me. But then there was the other tweet where they said there was no government involvement in the Hunter Biden laptop. We now know that's false because the decision to tweet this was the decision to block the New York Post was based in part by conversations that Joel Roth has had with the FBI. Case in point, this little document. This was an SEC document that has been filed with or FEC document. And all the way at the bottom of this long ass document, all the way at the bottom is a sworn statement or sworn declaration from Joel Roth. It goes on. And as a matter of fact, I'll just read this. It says, "Hi, my name is Joel Roth. This declaration is made on my personal knowledge and belief. I'm head of site integrity at Twitter, which is part of Twitter's trust and safety department. In this role, I lead the company's site integrity team, which assesses content posted on Twitter to determine whether it violates the company's policies. It says visitors to Twitter's website and all users in mobile application can report content that may violate the company's policies. Twitter also uses machine learning programs to identify content that may violate team policies or Twitter policies. The site integrity team also receives and reviews reports, including from security consultants regarding hacking incidents. The site integrity team assesses flagged accounts flagged for review, or it reviews content flagged for review against Twitter's policies. Twitter regularly enforces its policies, including the distribution of hacked material policy and private information policy. The Twitter services team assists with implementation of those things. As a matter of practice, neither I nor the other members of the site integrity team communicate directly with persons outside Twitter that report content for violating Twitter's policies. For routine content moderation decisions, the site integrity team makes enforcement decisions. For high-profile matters and content that presents more complex considerations, the site integrity team performs an initial assessment and escalates the matter internally for final enforcement decisions. When evaluating potentially hacked materials to determine if there's a violation of Twitter's distribution of hacked materials policy, the site integrity team considers public declarations of hacking as determinative. If no such claim is made, the site integrity team considers other indicia of hacking to assess whether the material was obtained through hacking based on the team's experience and expertise. Since 2018, Yoel Roth has had regular meetings with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers regarding election security. During these weekly meetings, the federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they expected a, quote, hack and leak operations by state actors that may occur in the period shortly before the 2020 presidential election, likely in October. I was told in these meetings that the intelligence community expected that individuals associated with political campaigns would be the subject to hacking attacks, and that the material obtained through those hacking attacks would likely be disseminated over social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed throughout 2020. Yoel Roth also learned in these meetings that there were rumors that a hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. On October 14th, they learned from media coverage that the New York Post had posted articles to its website that morning containing emails and other personal materials purportedly found on the hard drive that allegedly belonged to Hunter Biden. The site integrity team preliminarily determined that the information in the articles could have been obtained through hacking and based on, among other things, the type of material, the sourcing described in the articles, and the information security community's initial reactions. The materials in the New York Post article also contained personal emails and addresses and phone numbers, and sharing them on Twitter violated private information policy, Twitter's private information policy. Given the high-profile nature of the material and the publisher, the site integrity team escalated the New York Post articles for further review. Twitter's Trust and Safety determined that the New York Post articles violated distribution of hacked materials, and the private information policy instructed the site integrity team to execute the enforcement of those policies. At approximately 10:20 a.m. Pacific time on October 14th, the site integrity team implemented the enforcement action. Per the procedures and sanctions set out in the policies, the site integrity team blocked Twitter users from sharing links over Twitter to the applicable New York Post articles, and prevented users who had previously sent tweets from sharing those articles or sending new tweets until they deleted the tweets, violating Twitter's policies. Yoel Roth said he did not receive any communications or have any communications with representatives of Biden for president, the Democrat National Committee, or any agents regarding the New York Post articles before Twitter implemented the enforcement actions on October 14th, 2020. To the best of my knowledge, no Twitter employee received any communication from or had any representatives of Biden for president, the Democrat National Committee, or any of their agents regarding New York Post articles before Twitter implemented enforcement actions on October 14th. And he signed this on December 17th, 2020. This is a signed statement that said that the federal government, the Department of who was it? I forgot who it was. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers, i.e. Google and Facebook, all had regular meetings. To wit, the federal government said that this hack or that this information was going to be leaked, and they framed it as a hack and leak operation. So for them, see, and the thing that screws me up the most out of all this stuff, right? And there's two things that really piss me off. Once is that under the Trump administration, we know that there were people with the Department of Justice and the FBI that were undermining the Trump administration. We already know that, right? From the Russian hoax and all that stuff. Now it seems that they went as far to plan this. Okay, they went as far to plan this. Apparently, the reporter for the New York Post that broke the story, I think her name's like Mariana something. I forgot her name. It begins with an M. It's something divine. And I know she's putting out a big opinion article tomorrow in the New York Post talking about this and disputing a lot of the facts that the government had no foresight into this leak, because she says they did. She said this statement disproves that argument that the government had no foresight into this at all. The signed statement by the head of the site security or whatever, Miranda Devine, yeah. And then what's more is she also says that, I believe she said it, and I know Jesse Kelly has been tweeting it, and other people have been tweeting it, that the FBI had Rudy Giuliani under surveillance and knew that this computer was going to make its way into the hands of the New York Post prior to this. And so when you combine all of those facts, if they are in fact true, when you combine those facts with the known facts of this document, this signed, declaration by your Roth, then the only thing you could surmise is that the government, the United States government, under the Trump administration, granted, obviously they weren't acting for the benefit of the Trump information, the United States government interfered in the 2020 presidential elections. You can't dispute that based on this, based on the actual evidence there. Nobody can dispute it, because they were having meetings. They forewarned them about that. Yesterday, this tweet, and remember, I pointed out the tweet that the writer did where he said no government involvement. Let's see if I can find that tweet again. I don't remember where that one was. Dun, 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 dun. But he said where it says there is no government involvement. Let me find it real quick. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, right here. This one. He said, although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there is no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. My personal belief is that he's not talking about the United States government. He is talking about possible foreign hacks. And then he says, to answer the question about foreign hacks, he said but then he says any government involvement, because that would be a factually incorrect statement. And it would be nice if he'd walk that back, but I don't think he's going to. Because we already know, because here's the thing, based on this statement right now, and the fact that this came out 2 years ago, and that this was filed with the FEC 2 years ago, we can only, like, if you really want to be critical, him writing, he hasn't seen any government involvement in the laptop story. Knowing that this is there, couldn't you discredit his whole reporting thus far? Especially when and here's the thing. If you're looking at what they've already put out, right? You look at the information they've already put out, all these tweets, you combine it with the FEC sworn declarations from your Roth. Well, actually, take away that declaration from your Roth. But, well, I guess you got to know that there was government involvement. All of the tweets, of the 7 tweets that they referenced that were deleted, all 5 of them contained porn. One contained a link to a video that was porn, and the other one contained a link to a video that nobody knows what it is. And those are all, and sure, there were pictures of Hunter Biden or him having sex and doing all sorts of weird stuff. But those pictures, they would have been taken off of Twitter regardless, because Hunter Biden has to consent to have those photos disseminated on social media per Twitter's guidelines, which have been in place long before any of this stuff has transpired. So what I believe is that the United States government directly interfered with the election in 2020 based on what we've been provided, the knowledge that we've been provided by that Yoel Roth, determination, which but it almost absolves Twitter. And this is what Elon Musk could be thinking about. This almost absolves Twitter, to be completely honest with you, because the federal government comes in and puts this idea back in their head. And then they're presented something that checks all those boxes of the idea that the federal government did. So then Twitter acts. The FBI throws their hands up and was like, we had nothing to do with it. We just warned them. but they warn them of the precise thing. Twitter still has to follow a set of guidelines, because if this was all manufactured stuff, Twitter would have been held liable for it, which is why Twitter does the editorial decisions they do in deleting accounts and things like that. You know, someone said they were just acting on their own to block free speech. I don't know who you're saying was acting on their own. Are you saying what are you saying about a Cash App in the chat? I don't have any Cash Apps. A $250. Oh, it says citizens and a 200. I thought you said you sent a $250 Cash App. I was like, holy crap. We haven't had any Cash Apps tonight. Speaking of which, if you want to support this channel and me and everything I do, right there's the link in the chat. The FBI is out of control, 100%. The corrupt FBI interfered with the 2020 election. I really think, based on the old Roth thing, it's seemingly like the FBI prefaced that this leak was going to happen. They prefaced that this information was going to come out. They said it was going to be the target would be a family member of one of the political candidates. We had two, at that point, running for president. And then they even specified in different briefings that Hunter Biden may have been the target. They knew this was coming out. They allowed it to come out because they knew they had already planted the seed that this was Russian disinformation to Twitter for months. They presented that. So as soon as Twitter sees this, they have to make the decision to block this access, because they've already been conditioned that it's Russian disinformation. You know what I mean? So, like, to me, and I haven't seen many people present it this way on social media or any of the blogs or social, talking guys. I haven't seen anybody really presenting it in that way. That Twitter, because if they didn't act and this was hacked material, they would be liable for it. There would be no Twitter. It wouldn't be Elon Musk owning it. It would be Hunter Biden. Do you understand? Like, if it was truly hacked material. And by then, if it was a hack, look what they did for the damn diary, Joe Biden's diary, storming journalists' homes and all that stuff. They knew that this information was legally acquired. So they can't go and kick in the doors and steal, and search for the laptops. They can't do that because the laptops were abandoned and then given to Rudy Giuliani, or given to whoever they were given to. See, they can't go out and be like, oh, this is stolen material, because at that point it's not. It was abandoned for 2 years. So I think it's kind of interesting. Does Biden have COVID? Someone just said Biden has COVID. Does he have COVID? He was just does he have COVID again? What's this? The third time? That's I know what that's so he can be out of the media. Does he have COVID? Someone said just like clockwork, he got COVID again. I'm not seeing anything that says he has COVID. Sorry, I don't see anything. But yeah, that's where I think Twitter would yeah, I don't see anything about him having COVID. Who wrote that? Were you saying that he's gonna get it? Yeah, so to me, it kind of absolves Twitter from any responsibility. Like, wouldn't you guys agree? Right? Like, if you have the federal government, which, and to be honest, the federal government is not supposed to be infringing on free speech. It's a crime. Literally can't do it. It's in the Constitution. But the Trump administration, that's like one red flag to me, where the Trump administration was reportedly reporting Twitter accounts and stuff to Twitter based on the admission in this document. That is a damning, admission, because if you put two on the level of wrong, if the DNC, private, business, private entity, is cooperating or working behind the scenes with big tech, there's nothing illegal about it. If the federal government is working behind the scenes with big tech, it's fucking illegal. It's super illegal. So that's kind of that's one thing that I kind of was caught off guard by, that they put it out there and that it was glanced over by everybody else. A lot of people aren't really talking about all this stuff, which is interesting. So we have that. Now we have this Yoel Roth sworn declaration that he signed back in December of 2020 after this hack, which clarifies that he did, in fact, base part of the decision on banning this material based on the fact that they had forewarning of this, leaked documents and stuff by the federal government, by law enforcement, people under the Trump administration, which is frankly insane. But however, it's not surprising when you look at everything else. When you look at the fact that they were coordinating with the Russian collusion hoax and all that stuff. When you include all of that together, it's not a surprise to hear that the government was undermining their own government. You know what I mean? Someone said, but they are not the only ones that were censored, deleted. That was just their examples. Yeah, but I'm not quite sure what relevance that has. They provided those examples in this. So the only examples that you can reference, which were examples of Democrats apparently censoring tweets, were pornographic images of Hunter Biden and his wang. That's nothing to be up in arms about, guys and gals, unless you want to go look at Hunter Biden's schlong. Do you know what I mean? So for them to use those as examples, because it didn't take me that long. Like I said, the first tweet, and I'll go through it again just so people can see why this is freaking nutty. I'll go through it again. Let me find it. Find it. First tweet. These are the 5 tweets that they mentioned. The first one, which you see there, Jared 879835561. That linked to 5 photos. 4 of the 5 photos were Hunter Biden naked. That's what they were. Unfortunately, I had to see them when I was looking it up. The 5th was a photo of the Biden family all together. The second account, Let3481. That was a Japanese account. It was all written in Japanese, or actually it was marked as the guy was from Japan and had a bunch of Japanese news on it before it was deleted. And the video that was linked that day was deleted as well. You can only assume that video was a porn video because a lot of these are. So that's why it was deleted. Has nothing really to do with the laptop except that it was garnished from the laptop. Third one, JSXJ_2, whatever. That was Hunter Biden porn. The 4th one, which was a Chinese account, that was just deleted. So I don't know what it is. The 5th one, which is Guy Squiggs, whose account he deleted the video. So his account's active, or deleted the photo of Hunter Biden porn. And then we go further because they talk about celebrities weren't even exempt from this. Remember? Celebrities and unknown alike were removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party, except it doesn't say that this, or additional report from the DNC, it says here. Let's go to that first one. Stephen Lulon. His tweet linked over to gtv.org. gtv.org is an anti-CCP video site, and he linked 2 different videos. One was Hunter doing porn, and the other one was Hunter doing drugs. Again, if they are under the premise that this is hacked material, Hunter doing drugs, that would have been attained illegally, right? So that would have been a valid delete. Obviously, the porn is not valid, or it is a valid delete. And then the second one, the celebrity here, Real James Woods, he also posted Hunter Biden's porn. In fact, he's saying now he's going to sue Twitter for the right to post Hunter Biden's penis on Twitter. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're trying to prove a case, why not? Why'd they choose porn to prove their case? Like, if you're deleting people's accounts because they're retweeting the New York Post article, that would have had a lot more of importance. Like the Kayleigh McEnany, they did that to Kayleigh McEnany. That would make way more, that would be way more important to talk about than 7 tweets that all link to, pictures of Hunter's porn. Someone said that was Hunter's private laptop. Right. Which means, based on Twitter's policies, which are enacted long before this, if Hunter's buying laptops, for example, say I have a phone. I give you my phone and it's got a picture of my schlong on it, and you post that photo to social media, you have just committed a crime, let alone you broke YouTube's or Twitter's terms of service, because I didn't give you consent to post that photo online. So based on that, based on Twitter's existing guidelines, that would have been a prohibited action based on Twitter's guidelines, because you're posting something you didn't have any permission to post and the person didn't allow it. You know? Sydney said, you smell a Fed boy. Are you fucking stupid? What I am, this show is called The Rational American. I'm rational. I'm not irrational. So I take a different approach. What we know, and Sydney, maybe it's because you want to look at Hunter Biden's wang. Go do that then. Don't say Fed boy, though. That's fucking stupid. But here's another one. So the thing that I think a lot of people are missing, and I put out the video, I did the dialogue on it last night, and I put out the video today, and curious as to why nobody's talking about the Section 230 argument. Because, last night I said, I believe the only reason Elon Musk did this was to implode Twitter. That's the only reason I thought last night. Because for one, it wasn't new information. We already knew they censored the New York Times article. We already knew they were having internal communication about it. We already knew that they were big Democratic donors. We already knew all those things. So nothing that we learned there was actually new. But the outrage from this, granted, it's taken a long time. Like Shmerkanish on CNN, he actually did a decent job running through every single one of these tweets, talking about them one by one by one. And then he had a First Amendment lawyer on there that was like, yeah, this clearly shows that Twitter is infringing on the First Amendment. Clearly. The one thing they didn't talk about is Section 230. They didn't talk about that. And they didn't really talk about whether or not this stuff was hacked. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And based on the fact that we now know that the FBI was meeting with Twitter every single week and Facebook and all that stuff, we know that was to occur. We know now, based on the testimony of the guy that's in charge of the department that made the decision to hide these accounts, we know that guy was actively meeting with the FBI, and the FBI was telling him that there was going to be a Russian hack and leak process that involved Hunter Biden. They literally said that, according to his sworn testimony, which again is right there. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm on the wrong computer. I can't do it because I was just going to share it out to everybody to see. Someone said it's true, but not to disseminate private photos. Yes, there is porn on Twitter, but you can't post other porn. In some states, that's a crime. It's called revenge porn. And in fact, it is a crime. Hunter Biden lives in California. If Twitter didn't delete it, and he said he would have had a good lawsuit against Twitter at that point. So it's interesting, Someone said the laptop contained emails 10 per day. I know we're not talking about the contents of the laptop right now. We're talking about this drop that Twitter made yesterday. What I think everybody's forgetting about is Section 230, and the reason why I said yesterday I believe that the only thing I got out of this yesterday was that. My belief is that Twitter was trying to implode this platform, because he's literally making the argument for Section 230, for revamping or removing Section 230 protections against these big social media companies, meaning that they can't be held for what is posted on their platforms. Both Republicans and Democrats have tweeted out that and said in committee meetings that they believe that Section 230 protections are not right for social media companies. They weren't meant for social media companies, and they shouldn't be able to enjoy that privilege. Republicans believe that they're acting more as a publisher, they don't deserve the protection because they're making editorial decisions, which you can't do if you're under the protection. And Democrats don't believe they should have that protection because they don't believe they're doing enough to moderate their platform. So it's really weird, because any of these hearings or any of these committee meetings that we've watched, and we've watched a lot of them, any of these hearings that we've watched, it almost sounds like a uniform attack on these social media platforms by Democrats and Republicans. And the reason is because they're both uniform in believing that Section 230 is wrong for social media, but for drastically different reasons. The Republicans believe that if you threaten the Section 230 protection over these social media companies, they'll go more lax on their moderation. Whereas Democrats believe that if you threaten them with it, then they're going to go further on their Section 230 protection. And we heard that in the comments as well. And that's why I'm really surprised that nobody else is really talking about it. Nobody else, none of the content creators, none of the big accounts. You're not seeing it on the main news where they're talking about Section 230. Granted, we will in a few weeks when we start doing all the committee meetings on this stuff. But make no mistake, there wasn't a big drop. There wasn't a big bomb. Nothing was verified. To me, nothing. I saw a Daily Beast article that was ripping into this pretty hard and ripping into conservatives that were like, listen, this was a big nothing burger. I said that last night. I was pissed. You see my tweet from last night. I'm like, this is weak. This is bullshit. Because it was. This didn't have anything new. And then when I think about it more, and, so obviously now when I've learned about this Yoel Roth declaration, now I believe two things. One, I secretly believe, or I don't secretly because I'm telling all you guys, 900 plus of you, that I do believe that Elon Musk was either one, trying to vindicate his platform by saying, listen, well, actually he didn't do that. But now knowing that this declaration of Yoel Roth is out there, it almost vindicates Twitter for making that decision. So you're not going to hear a lot of people. I guarantee you're not going to hear a lot of people talk about this declaration. Jack Posobiec and some of the other people are already talking about it, but you're not going to hear mainstream media and those people talk about it because then it just gets too conspiratorial. The federal government is interfering. They just won't do it. They won't touch it, even though it's true. Or the other option is that Elon Musk was trying to remove Section 230 protections against social media. And that way he can basically say, you force my hand with moderation. Because he said it's a free speech platform. Everyone can say what he wants, but we know that's not evident with his banning of Kanye West for posting a photo of a swastika over the Star of David. We know. He said it was for incitement and all that stuff. Posting a photo is not incitement. Posting a photo is 100% your First Amendment right. So if you want to call yourself a First Amendment platform, then you have to actually follow through with it. And I believe that what he's doing is kind of like setting fire. Like how you stop a wildfire? You cut fire lines and you set other fires to try to, burn up the area before the big fire gets there, right? Manageable fire lines and all that. It's kind of the same thing. Where I believe he's setting a little fire right now, in which is going to cause an attack on Section 230. So it's either revamped or it's just shut down. So that way he has to do his moderation. So he would be forced to do moderation. Otherwise, he could be sued for it. Because that's what Section 230 protection does. It means they can't be sued for the actions of another writer. Someone tweets something. Twitter can't be sued for what someone else tweets on their platform. However, you remove those protections, yes, they can. And there's no way that a content provider is going to ever allow some of the stuff that goes on social media, some of the news reporting, any of that stuff. That's why you're not seeing journalists just making up news, right? That's why, and you do, but they have to do retractions. They follow a policy, and they could be liable if you write something that's not true. It's defamation. Whereas social media, there is no recourse. If I could literally write that, so and so sleeps with unicorns, they couldn't do shit to me. Well, they couldn't do shit to Twitter. It's like, if I was working for the New York Post and I wrote an article saying so and so sleeps with unicorns, not only could they sue me as a writer, they could also sue the publisher, the New York Post or New York Times or whoever. You know what I mean? So there's a difference between the protections that are afforded to publications that are editorializing versus these platforms. If you're a platform, you have Section 230 protection. If you are a publisher, you do not. And if you're editorializing, you are a publisher. And so a lot of Republicans have been challenging Section 230 protection, saying, hey, guess what? You shouldn't have Section 230 protection because you're making content moderation decisions. You are editorializing based on your beliefs because you heavily lean towards the left. Your content moderation is far more targeted towards people on the left in the eyes of Republicans. And the people and then the Democrats, again, what they're trying to do is they're trying to penalize Twitter for not, or in social media, YouTube, Facebook, they're trying to penalize dangling Section 230 over their head, saying you don't deserve these protections because you're allowing people to write hateful content. And we want to remove the protection so that we can sue you. So there is recourse. Do you see? So both the Republicans and the Democrats are being like crazy about this stuff. And not a lot of people are talking about the Section 230 argument. I think it provides a different context into why yesterday's crap leak. I thought it was going to be better. I thought there was going to be a lot more information. But speaking of which, it's 5 o'clock right now. So maybe, just maybe, there's some new stuff coming out. I doubt it, though. There's nothing new on Tabibi's page. And there's been no word from Elon Musk today about tweeting it. There's nothing. He said Twitter's servers are running at warp 9 because he's really happy. His latest update on this account was 19 hours ago, saying tune in for episode 2 of the Twitter something tomorrow. But he never provides a time or a context or anything, which is really frustrating. His latest tweet was 14 minutes ago, and he said SBF was bad at league. Nuff said. So I can't imagine that he's even working on this right now if that's what he's tweeting. It's interesting though. It's very interesting. But then, and again, I'm gonna all you conservatives, all the Trumpers, MAGAs are gonna get super mad at me right now because I'm gonna also criticize Donald Trump. He tweeted this as a response to this. This is so wrong on so many levels. And everybody needs to this is like Donald Trump, Truth Social, truthed out. So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democrat Party, do you throw out the presidential elections of 2020 and declare the winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great founders did not want and would not condone in that statement. We're live on YouTube, so I can't even say that word. What the fuck? The termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution? No, sir. That's what I'll say. No, sir. Kate said Elon is in a Twitter space. Send it. Send it. Dun, dun, dun. Let's throw a party. Is he in the Twitter space? How do you know he's in a Twitter space? Let me go to his page. Someone said they were going to send me a space. He's not in a space, is he? Oh. Is this a space? Okay, I'm in the space. Do you guys hear anything in the space? Oh, it is speaking. Hold on. All right, here's Elon Musk live.
That was my decision. Because at a certain point you have to say, what is incitement to violence? Because that is against the law in the U.S. You can't just have form a club, let's go murder someone club. That's not actually legal. So the question is, what is incitement to violence? And I think, posting swastikas in what is obviously not a, good way is an incitement to violence. I personally wanted to punch Kanye, so that was definitely inciting me to violence. Anyway, that's not cool.
Just to hang on, but you mentioned in a good way.
Well, no, it's just that it could be like an analysis of.
Does anyone know? Can I make this full screen
or something? That's a history drama, or whatever.
It's contextual.
Yeah,
right?
It's like okay, let's a battlefield or something, and that's good. This so some sort of war history thing. I don't know. Something like that. Then that would be okay. But
it has to be contextual. I mean, if he's posting it in a way that is trying to rally people to anti-Semitic views, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can also say okay, well, let's look for added context outside of Twitter to say well, was this meant in a friendly way? And it's like, okay, well, no, he's saying that he likes Hitler, and other things. And look, at the point at which Alex Jones is like telling Kanye to calm down and please stop. You have to say, okay, Alex Jones is pretty edgy. So like Alex Jones is saying Kanye wants Kanye to stop. That's a big deal. So anyway, but I don't want to get into like some sort of huge this could easily get derailed into a laborious.
Agreed. Yeah, we should talk more about the file. So you mentioned that you gave it to Barry Weiss, right? So she has full access. Does this mean that we are going to see multiple exposés, not just ones from Matt Taibbi?
Yeah, the point is to just have everything come clean. So the thing is that like it's not that people would necessarily agree with everything that Twitter has done in the past or in the future, but they should at least know that it is occurring and there's no shady stuff that is happening that they aren't aware of. So then at least if Twitter is explicit about its actions and transparent, you can then appropriately calibrate your interpretation of what you learn on Twitter. As opposed to thinking, Twitter pretending to be unbiased and even-handed. Is not. So there's a way to get everyone to agree with all the actions that Twitter will take. That's impossible. That is a null set. So, but what it is possible to do is to be fully transparent about the actions that are taken.
It looks like his.
Give me a break.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, you're back.
He's back.
You dropped out for a bit. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear us, Elon? Or it's not? It's still glitching a bit. Can you hear me?
I'm about to take off.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, carry on.
This just turned into a Verizon commercial really quick. I just wanted to ask Elon really quick if there's any way to combine Twitter's efforts with people who have gone, as far as filing constitutional challenges. Is there any way to get them in touch with Matt and combine the efforts there?
Possibly. I'd reach out to Matt. There's... and I mentioned, like, I've also asked Barry Weiss to, also, I've given her access. I just gave Barry Weiss access to the Twitter files like an hour ago. I think at some point it might make sense to just have them publicly available, so that anyone can look at them.
It's a quick side question.
The idea
sorry, go ahead.
The general thing we're aiming for is anything bad that Twitter's done in the past that at least be surfaced so as to instill trust about Twitter in the future. And the thing where I may have blanked out a moment ago is that it is impossible for Twitter to take the set of actions that will satisfy all people, or probably even 90% of people. But what Twitter can do that is unequivocal is be completely transparent about its action and what's what is it doing, what is it not doing, how does the algorithm work, and if an account is suspended, why is it suspended? If an account is deboosted, just showing that it's been deboosted or search banned, and giving a reason for that, so that there's maximum transparency in the system, so that even if you disagree with what's going on Twitter, you at least can calibrate what you learn on Twitter based on what Twitter's doing, not have a situation where Twitter is claiming to be fair and even-handed, and then actually is not being so, at least from your perspective. So,
do you have plans, Elon, to take Twitter public again in the future?
Sorry?
So Tara's asking, by the way, James Wood, I've sent you an invite. Real James Wood, I've sent you an invite. Check your DMs. Tara's asking if you have any plans to take Twitter public again. And my question, I'll give you another question as well. My question is, what type of pressure, if any, have you faced since releasing the files? Did you hear me, Elon? Shit.
It sounds like he is testing the new semi-truck himself.
Can you hear us? Oh, you're back. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
I'm
Go ahead,
just airborne right now, so on Starlink actually, so we'll see how well Starlink works.
Okay,
Oh,
fantastic.
it's working. It's working well now. It's working well now.
I moved a couple of people down so we can have a more civil, conversation without too many speakers on stage, because there are a couple of important questions that I want to ask you. The first one is, obviously with your move of full transparency, you are putting the groundworks in place to justify why free speech on Twitter is so important and why you are making the decisions, of, for example, a great amnesty for all users, and by showing that abuse has happened in the past and that Twitter, before it was under your control, was abusing their power. You're basically setting the stage to say, okay, people should all have their rights, unless they broke the law, restored to be on Twitter. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is the intent. Now, to be clear, we're all going to be doing this sort of slowly and deliberately. That this can't be let's open all the jails simultaneously and have at it, guys. So it's going to be slower than people would like. It's more deliberate. I do have a lot of shit going on right now, so just
I can imagine.
I'm trying to do the most that I'm flogging my human brain as hard as possible, most amount of work done. But like this week alone, we had a meeting with Macron yesterday, PC for some national security.
Starlink is also failing. Damn it.
Take 2 months instead of 1 month.
2 months instead of 1 month. That's a good timeline.
And also, I got to make sure Twitter is stable from a financial standpoint and it's not losing tons of money and goes bankrupt, in which case all bets are. So there's juggling a lot of things here, to say the least. But I think over time, not that long of a time, iteratively, we can move Twitter to be a more broadly inclusive in the so that, like, as many people as possible can participate and want to participate, and as trusted and transparent as possible. And the proof will be in the pudding over time. And we're not going to please everyone. Obviously, that's impossible because if you say like, what are the requests of everyone? You have a Venn diagram intersection of zero. But what can be done is maximum transparency. What can be done is making it clear when something has been deboosted or search banned, when your account has been deboosted or search banned, and why. When an account has been suspended, to be clear about why and whether it's temporary or what the path is to restore the account. And just, I think that's something that can be done and should be done, and will massively help with trust in Twitter.
In addition to
now, there's obviously a challenge that Twitter's had over time, and I think this is generally an issue with social media, which is that it is, these are digital technologies that require a lot of software to be written, and they've sort of come out of Silicon Valley, almost all of them in Silicon Valley, with except for Snap is in LA, but it's based in California. But
just logged in. Did we get any more proof on the Hunter story? Thanks.
Moral framework of San Francisco to Earth. This is kind of a big deal and problematic because previously, San Francisco, which is pretty far left, the influence would be limited to San Francisco, but now it affects the whole world because of the centralization of information with social media companies, and that's, I think, not good. We need to establish something that is fair and takes into account a wide range of views and doesn't have a tilted playing field towards far left San Francisco views. I think there should be a place for they can be on Twitter too, but there should be a wide range of political views and sentiments, and as much as reasonably possible, aim for freedom of speech. Yeah, and generally, I want Twitter to be a force for good for the future of civilization. So
that's okay. Elon, can you tell us approximately how much time you have so that we can get an idea how many questions we can get in?
I don't know, like maybe half an hour or so.
Nice.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's very good. Hey, what I also see happening here is that the mainstream media that was part of covering up this Hunter Biden laptop story is now calling this some kind of fissure, that they don't think that there's enough. Obviously they are acting in that way because they themselves are now on fire. That because you have exposed what they have done. What do you have to say to them?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I'm in the air, so this is it's not super optimal from an audio
He
standpoint.
asked you what do you have to say to the media that's sort of downplaying what the Twitter files represent?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So he's asking you, what do you have to say to the media that's downplaying the Twitter files revelations? Because they're basically saying it's not a big deal, that it's nonsense, that it's just crap, that you're just doing this for PR. What's your response to them?
Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
He may be having connection issues with you specifically, Ian. There are certain people up here that I can't hear either. So maybe Kim, ask again.
Yeah, Kim, do you want to ask your question again? First, Elon, can you hear us? No, I think he can't hear anybody.
Yeah. I don't know if it's me.
So he's either in a semi truck or he is on his plane.
No, he's on his plane. He said he's on his plane. Yeah.
I'm in the air right now. I can hear you again.
Okay,
cool.
Fantastic. So let me just repeat my question. The media, especially the media that downplayed and censored the whole Hunter Biden story, is now trying to downplay your release. Obviously, because they are under fire as well, right? Because they have been exposed by this release. What do you want to say to them? What do you want to say to the media that is trying to turn this into a nothing burger?
Well, they're trying to turn it into a nothing burger because they were complicit in deceiving the American public. And so rather than admit that they lied to the public, they're trying to pretend that this is a nothing burger, obviously. To anyone looking at it, that's clearly what happened. So, yeah, shame on them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then the other important thing here is that you are basically exposing collusion between a political party and in one file that was released, it was even called the Biden team contacting Twitter. That is election interference, isn't it?
Yeah, clearly, if Twitter is doing one team's bidding before an election, shutting down dissenting voices on a pivotal election, that is the very definition of election interference. What the hell else would you? Of course, it's like, yes, frankly, Twitter was acting like an arm of the Democratic National Committee. It was absurd.
Well, and that's fantastic that you're releasing that, but isn't Twitter just the tip of the iceberg? Can't we admit now that this would have happened at all big tech companies that are, being used to stifle free speech and censor people and try to, destroy stories that are dangerous to their political goals?
Yeah. No, the level of collusion is insane. Like Twitter is the one company that is no longer colluding, and is no longer just going with the sort of NPC groupthink. So I don't know. I should probably increase my security or something.
Absolutely. This is why they hate you so much.
What I find most interesting. What I find most interesting.
Play something here. Just a second. That would have been my next question, Elon. How worried are you personally? I mean, you're putting a lot on the line, right? You have all these businesses going. You are out there fighting the good fight for free speech, but there's also certainly a concern on your mind about what the response to this is going to be. Do you feel threatened? Do you feel worried? Like, how do you feel personally about this?
Yeah, and I'll add on to a question I asked as well, Elon. Like, what type of pressure
I guess
have you faced so far?
maybe I should be more worried than I am, but I don't know. I think generally if you do right by the people, then you have the people on your side.
Elon, if you want, you can come to Sweden.
Oh, you dropped out, Thierry. Can you hear me first, Elon, before I give the mic back to Kim?
I lost the signal there.
Yeah, oh good. Yeah, he dropped out. Can you hear me or not? Just so I know, if you can't hear me, I'll give the mic back to Kim. No, you can't hear me. Kim, you take the mic.
I was going to ask
go ahead,
him
Tara.
what
Yeah, go
he
ahead,
thought
Tara.
really quick of Senator Warren's response that one person, him, should not have control over the narrative.
Elon, I was saying you can come to Switzerland by.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously,
The fuck?
it's not one person has control of the narrative, because there's the entire mainstream media establishment who all talk like groupthink NPCs. There's Facebook, there's Google, there's TikTok. No, the actual problem is there's one person who isn't towing the line. That's the real problem.
Thank you. That's the exact response that we needed.
That's you, yeah. I mean, that's
so
all
Ian,
of us, right?
Ian, can you ask him a quick question as well?
And the
Because I
problem
don't think he
is,
can hear
as
me.
soon as one person doesn't toe the line, now everyone else is looking like, you know.
Well, now we're allowed to, Elon, and that's the issue. Is before we were at risk of being suspended or deplatformed.
You're allowing. I mean, you're showing people that it's possible to.
I mean, this is like competition does keep companies honest, or it is a force for keeping companies honest. So if there's a competition for the truth, and Twitter wins the competition for the truth, then it will win over the readership and the attention of the public, and everyone else will be forced to tell the truth too.
Do you think that you run the risk of like the EU Commission or any of these other big political bodies trying to take you down when you're doing this?
Yes. I do not think this is a risk-free endeavor. But I also think that, like, as long as there's the support of the people, then you have to say, like, any organization, at least in the U.S., that it is going to go against the will of the people, I think will be in big trouble themselves.
You know, Elon, you're doing this at such an important time in history, because I think people can sense that the censorship is becoming more, that the media is spilling more and more propaganda, that we are heading into a future where free speech isn't really acceptable anymore. And for you, with your audience, to go out there and put this transparency out there, I think a lot of people appreciate that this is a fight that you are taking center stage, in order to fix some of these issues.
Yeah. No, I mean, frankly, the risk of something bad happening to me, of even literally being shot, is quite significant. I'm definitely not going to be, doing any open air car parades. Let me put it that way. But it's also not. It's not that hard to kill me if somebody wanted to. So hopefully they don't. And if fate smiles upon the situation with me and does not, that does not happen. I'm taking reasonable precautions, I guess, but there's definitely some risk here. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think we'll just want to have a future where, we're not oppressed, or our speech is not suppressed, and we can say what we want to say without fear of reprisals. As long as you're not like really causing harm to somebody else, then you should be able to say what you want. And that's quite a rare thing, I think, as people just take that for granted sometimes, but really throughout history, free speech has been highly unusual, not common. And so we have to fight very hard to keep that because it's such a rare thing, and it's by no means something that is default. It's a controlled speech is the default, not free speech. So, and yeah, it does seem incredibly ironic that so many reporters in the media and prominent politicians are calling for restraints on free speech. This is crazy. It feels like we're in bizarro world here.
Do you think that that comes from the way that journalism is taught now in today's schools, in what we call postmodern journalism, or where do you think that's really coming from?
I mean, I haven't been to journalism school, but it does seem as though that the elite educational institutions have been somewhat infected with an anti-free speech mind virus, which is sort of a subset of the woke mind virus. So like, say, how much actual intellectual freedom and how much actual intellectual freedom is there at elite educational institutions, where you don't get completely shunned unless you abide by what everyone else thinks, and then what everyone else thinks is you're told what to think, not asked to. You're sort of, you must think this. It's not like you have freedom to think as and talk as you wish. So yeah.
What's the solution for this? I mean, like, obviously this is
somehow we have to,
institution.
I think, purge the woke mind virus and have truth be what matters more than anything. I mean, I think it's funny that Harvard's motto in the Harvard Standard is veritas, truth. That's, and the founders of Harvard were right to have that on their shield, the shield of truth. But is Harvard the shield of truth today? Maybe not.
Well, I love
Elon,
that
so
you are
we're
standing
all
up for.
on this
Hey, just a
space because of
question,
our
please.
belief in freedom to transact, and obviously Jack was a big Bitcoin Lightning guy. What can you comment on freedom to transact, Bitcoin Lightning, Twitter, anything we can look forward to?
Well, I think that's actually more powerful even than, I think.
Dude, I don't care about this. Like, drop the fucking bombs, bro. They said they got big bombs. Like, they're going to drop, they're going to break. They're talking about cryptocurrency.
You can starve people to death. You can throw them out of their homes. So we have to be very careful about, like, who's controlling the money system here, and what rules and regulations are they going to put on transactions. It seems like PayPal has strayed pretty far from the path of that. Like,
I've been banned from PayPal.
Seems to be moving in the direction of social credit and restricting transactions. So that's concerning. So, and I do think there is a role for crypto in the future, without speaking to any particular crypto coin, as a means of ensuring that the monetary system does not get completely corrupted. It provides competition to the fiat system, so that if the fiat system becomes overly restrictive, then crypto will grow. Like, basically, the better that the fiat system works, the less prominent crypto will be, and the worse the fiat system becomes, the more crypto will grow.
Are you concerned about the moves towards central bank digital currencies?
I don't think they know what they're talking about. No, not really.
A lot of people theorize that FTX and the fallout there was a ploy to push us toward that centralization and the digital dollar.
It's fallen flat in its face now.
Correct.
Well, I think they're conflating a few things. First of all, almost all money is digital already. The fiat monetary system for practical purposes, consists of a series of heterogeneous mainframes running antiquated COBOL. That's the actual money system, by the way. It's kind of embarrassing. It's not like some rickety mainframes running ancient COBOL and running and doing everything in batch mode. That's the actual fiat monetary system. So
Elon, I've got. Can you hear me first? Is it working now or no?
It is digital,
No shit.
but not in a very good way. And whether banks create their own cryptocurrencies, I think is somewhat irrelevant. People will use the cryptocurrencies that they think will accrue value over time, and not use the ones that don't.
Doge to the moon. Sorry.
Hey, Elon, could you shed some spill the beans on the whole SBF, Binance, and Twitter fundraise?
I think it's not much. Not many beans to spill here. I had one conversation with SBF in May, where it was weird. It was like half an hour. He was just talking like a mile a minute. I think he was clearly on some stimulants, and he kept talking about himself and FTX, and which is weird because the call was supposed to be about Twitter. And I was like, shouldn't you want to ask me some questions about Twitter instead of talking about yourself? The vibe I got there was like, this is my bullshit meter, like, was redlining. So I'm like, but everyone kept saying, Morgan Stanley and lots of other people kept saying, oh, SBF is the best, and he's got tons of money, and so that's why I agreed to speak to him. But then like I said, he set up my bullshit meter, which frankly, I don't think this was like deep insight wasn't necessary. If someone's calling you to talk about investing in a big transaction, they should be asking questions about the transaction, not talking about themselves and talking at the speed of an auctioneer. So that's it doesn't require deep insight to figure out that the bullshit factor is high.
So you didn't end up with any client funds accidentally?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Mario is having connection issues, so you're unable to hear him. And Mario, I was going to say my DMs are open if you want to relay comments or questions for Elon there, and I can try to help field those. And also, Alex is one of the accounts that was wrongfully suspended by Twitter, and you fortunately brought back. I wanted to give him the opportunity to ask you a question because he's had his hand up, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Hey, so I was Hunter Laphouse, right? We also cover other requests by the Biden campaign and the DNC to censor individuals.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Alex. We can't hear you.
I can barely hear Alex. Like, he's got a really bad connection.
Tell Elon to mute his mic and unmute.
Probably, but I cannot hear him.
Yeah, tell Elon to mute and unmute just so we can hear Alex, because I think Elon's background noise is muting Alex.
Hey, Elon,
someone tell Elon. Elon can't hear me, so you have to tell him.
Oh my God, man's stupid.
Yeah, I'm telling him that he can't hear you. That's okay. Just give me 1 second here, real quick. Elon, you said something, really important, and that is that truth matters. And this is really what this is all about, because without free speech, we don't have truth. And I would like to ask you, what is your opinion about Julian Assange and Edward Snowden? Shouldn't those guys be center stage when it comes to free speech and truth? Shouldn't the U.S. government leave Julian Assange alone and let him be a journalist?
I don't know enough about the Assange situation to give an accurate answer. I mean, there are things where that where national security stuff is involved, that I think do need to be kept secret, because there's like nuclear secrets, and there are the things where bad actors, if they had access to that information, could do bad things. So.
Yeah, but when a journalist exposes war crimes, right? When a government just goes and invades a country and kills people, against international law. Like when exposures like this are being made, isn't that important so people see the reality of wars and understand how some of that stuff is really bad?
Yeah, I mean, I generally think that people should, like I said, that people should be able to know what's going on in order to make sensible.
The guy just gave up his citizenship and became a Russian citizen. Oh no, that was
I just don't know enough about
Snowden.
Elon's situation to say whether he should be punished or not punished. But I do think that I'm generally in favor of freedom of information, and like if there's any doubt, we should lean on the side of freedom of information. So.
And how about Edward Snowden, who has revealed these mass surveillance programs? Where
Faith Reveres, are you a real person? Type yes right now, otherwise I'm banning you
spy
because you're annoying me with your
also
comments.
against the law, where the Five Eyes are working together to undermine their local laws and their local restrictions on spying, and they just spy on each other and then share the data so that they know everything about everyone. How do you feel about that?
Well, probably the best thing would be a jury of the public. If Snowden were to be, I don't know. Look, I have power in this situation, but if they ultimately the people of the United States should be the ones who judge Snowden, not select people in the government. So if a jury of peers of citizens were to review Snowden and make a judgment as to whether he's guilty or not, I think that would probably be the appropriate course of action.
Yeah, the only problem is that if he were to be in a U.S. court, he wouldn't get a fair trial because under Espionage Act laws, you cannot even make a public interest defense. He wouldn't even be able to say, I've done that because it's the right thing for Americans to know about that. So that would be a defense that is not available to him. So to say, a jury of your peers should decide about that, it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no easy answer to the Snowden Assange situation.
Can I make a suggestion, Elon? Why don't you do a poll to your millions of users and ask them if they think Julian Assange and Edward Snowden should be given their piece for the service that they have provided to humanity?
Okay, that's a good idea. Sure.
I like that idea.
I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question on Mario's behalf really quick, since he's unable to speak to Elon, which has to be extremely frustrating as the host. He was just curious if you faced any pressure so far since releasing the Twitter files.
I mean, I face pressure all the time, so it's kind of, it would say like, what's the differential in pressure before and after? Because but I'm not. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. Maybe there's pressure, but I might just not be feeling it because this every day is a high pressure situation. But I don't know. Well, like I said, we're just gonna put all the information out there, try to get a clean slate, and then work iteratively in the future to provide the most truthful, accurate, and timely information to the people. That will be the goal of Twitter. And we won't be perfect in that regard, but I think we will be iteratively better. And if that turns out, if we're successful in doing so, then I think Twitter will compete more effectively than any other source of information, and then more people will use Twitter, and then that competitive pressure will force other social media companies and other media companies to also be more truthful, because otherwise they will simply lose their readership, and that I think is an extremely powerful and good vision of the future.
Could you say a little bit, perhaps, about what Twitter is expected to maintain as an API to, say, the Department of Homeland Security in general, the FBI, maybe CISA in particular? Is there an expected way in which the government can jack in to social media that's expected on behalf of each of the big media platforms? And is that sort of different? I don't know how to say this exactly, but the issue of left versus right is complicated by the fact that Trump is a non-player to the game, just the way Bernie might have been considered a non-player to the game. And the secondary question is how much of this isn't about left versus right, but about targeting anyone who isn't a party to all of the tacit agreements inside DC?
Can you still hear us, Elon?
What a colossal waste of time.
Elon, you still there?
I hope so.
No, he's disconnected. It says disconnected for me at least.
Huh.
I'll invite him. I'll invite him again. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Hey,
Hold on. Elon,
Mario,
are you back?
such a pity that he couldn't hear you, man. That is just
Yeah,
crazy.
it's fine, man. It's fine. Like, you know me. I'm
It
happy
happens.
listening. I'm happy listening. Can you guys hear me at least?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
I can hear you.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Dara, thanks for asking the question. I was really curious about it. But it says for me he's still a speaker. Can anyone see him as a speaker?
I can see him as a
I
speaker,
can.
but he's not speaking.
Last time he was here, Kim, you were there as well. I think Kim, you commented and he joined. When we co-hosted him, remember Kim? We co-hosted him and it froze. So I'm like, fuck,
yeah,
I shouldn't have co-hosted him.
I think he's dropped off now.
Yeah, I'll send him an invite. A few people got kicked off stage. Not even by you, Kim, just by themselves. So just guys, give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Twitter's glitching like crazy.
Yeah, Twitter's
What's your take? While waiting
Yeah.
for Elon, guys, what's your take so far on what Elon has said? Because there's a few pretty big things he mentioned, such as the fear, the worry that he has.
He didn't mention anything.
What he said, right? I mean, his main goal clearly is that the truth is out there, that it has value again, and that Twitter needs to make a stand for free speech, which he is doing now. And he is aware of the risks to him personally and his businesses.
These guys
so it's a
are
very
on his
courageous
D.
thing for him to do. And I think, anyone who had any doubt about what his intentions are when he bought Twitter, I think it's pretty clear that what he's doing is in the interest of the people and not necessarily in his own best interest. So I find that amazing, and I applaud him for that.
Yeah, and while waiting for Elon to join again, I've DM'd him another invite. What do you guys think of his? I know I'm not sure if he's saying it as a joke, but his security fear on his security and
I
being
don't
shot.
think he has anything really to worry about. I mean, I don't think anyone's really going to come at him right now because it'd be too obvious why they'll be going after him. So I think he's quite safe, and he does have security. So personally, I'm not concerned. Although at the same time, there's he does have security for a reason, right? He is the world's richest man, so there's that. But I'm not really. I don't think it's going to be different than any other day. There's nothing that he's revealing now that is that damaging to any specific person, right? It's like he's more or less just giving people the platform for free speech, and the people who are most affected by this are journalists who what do they have to lose? Well, their reputations for one, but they've already thrown it away. So I don't think I don't think he really has to worry about his personal safety. I don't think it's going to be that dire.
Elon, just to let you know, Elon is listening now. I've sent you through an invite. You should see it via DM. So I've sent you through the invite to come back on stage. So hopefully it works. It might take a bit of time because space is glitching like crazy.
It is.
For everyone else, yeah, go ahead.
Mario, there's some backfeed coming from you. I'm not sure if you have your audio playing in the background, but I can hear you twice. I don't know if anyone else.
No, it's just you dumbass. Like, dude, do they not? Oh my god,
shit.
bro.
Okay, I'll try to fix it. By the way, everyone, I'm just going to tweet the next space link now to set your reminders for the next space. I'll fix my audio. Kim, the mic is yours.
Yeah, let's hope that Elon comes back if he has a chance.
Did we just waste
How
all of our
amazing
time?
is that?
James Woods, guys, James Woods is literally suing just to be able to show a penis. That's it. He wants to show a photo of Hunter Biden's D.
It's just FYI, he's
Hey,
back. Elon, let me see if he can hear me this time.
Stop
Elon, can you hear
talking
me or
about him.
still no?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
sick.
can hear you.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Absolutely.
can hear me. I'm glad you can hear me again.
I'm starting to get
So
mad.
I think Kim, you were asking a question.
No, I was just saying how cool it is that you talk to us from your private jet. You know, we really appreciate it. It's like
Get
a typical
off his dick!
Elon moment, and we're just
Like,
all in awe about you. You know, taking these risks to your business and to yourself to fight for free speech. So I said to everyone who had doubts about your intentions when you bought Twitter, you are making your intentions very clear. And I think it's very courageous of you, and I want to thank you for that.
No, you're most welcome. I mean, like I said, the proof will be in the pudding over time. There will be many mistakes made, but iteratively, I think that the net vector should be towards truth, and if sort of new Twitter is successful in that, then the results will be that people will turn to Twitter to understand what is true, what is real, what narratives matter, and Twitter will gain a lot of readership and attention, and will put a lot of competitive pressure on mainstream media and on other social media companies to also be more truthful, because otherwise they will simply keep losing people to Twitter, and that's where the competition can be a very, very good thing. So, but it's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be decisions that people disagree with. But on balance, the overall decisions are ones that people do agree with, then they will gravitate towards Twitter, and Twitter will actually be successful, and will gain share from other sources of media, and it will cause those other sources of media to then stop towing the line and to sort of be more truthful.
What's your just a quick question, Elon? What's the biggest risk, in your opinion, from the steps you've taken in terms of releasing the files? Do you see any risks for Twitter?
I mean, I guess there'll probably be some. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some lawsuits or something.
I can't call in. You got to be invited.
So
there's 88,000 people listening to this.
But what's important? That's less of a concern than just clearing the air and making sure that people of Earth and know what really happened. And
what really happened?
The metrics, the Twitter metrics show that it seems like it's the right decision by far, not only ethically, but from a business perspective as well. That you keep hitting new records.
All it is.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. So, like I said, it's the point of as as it becomes clear and that Twitter is the place to actually figure out what's going on and get the unfiltered narrative, the unfiltered truth. Also for the people of Twitter to be able to suggest narratives and steer the, and emphasize narratives themselves, and have things not be controlled like it is with the so-called mainstream media, where the narrative is controlled by a handful of editors in chiefs. If basically the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Washington Post, and maybe a few others decide what the narrative is. And so even if what they say is completely truthful, the people don't really get a choice in what topics are covered. So whereas on Twitter they do. Like it could be something really important going on the world, and then the big news organizations aren't covering it for whatever reason. But on Twitter, the people can decide what narratives are important and what should be emphasized and what should, yeah. So that's.
So on that note, like,
can I mention something really quick? Can I just mention something really quick? I can hear you.
Okay,
Is that you?
I just want to ask a quick question. I
Oh,
want to
sorry,
know
John.
what Twitter is doing, or what you are doing, what you're planning to allow people to have more ability to publish their own stories on Twitter. Because right now we just have tweets, right?
Yeah.
But like, what are your plans for, say, video publication or article publication? Things to incentivize, creators and journalists, independent journalists, to be able to have their voices heard for more than just tweets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are all like very obvious moves. One needs to be able to obviously post long-form written content on Twitter. One needs to be able to post long videos and long audio on Twitter natively, and there obviously needs to be a means of monetizing that so that creators can make a living. Those are. I feel like I'm saying that the sky is blue and the grass is green. That's pretty obvious stuff. But in order to implement those things, Twitter needs to have a strong software engineering organization that is focused on shipping great code. And really was quite a mess before, but it will have a strong engineering team and be able to implement those basic features. So that even if there are lots of limitations, let's say on example, then they can post it on Twitter, and then Twitter can be an effective competitor to YouTube. And then, like I said, what happens when there is competition for the truth, and everyone and one company steps out of line, then and actually really does allow the truth to flourish. It's going to put a lot of competitive pressure on other organizations to do the same thing.
Can you talk about whether or not the effort to supposedly pre-bunk malinformation, which is to take real information and then, if it's damaging to a narrative, to put fear, uncertainty, and doubt around it, is there an attempt through the Department of Homeland Security or the FBI or CISA or any of these groups to tell Twitter that it has to maintain a port so that information can come from the government to say, we need this information pre-bunked?
Well, I mean, if there is any sort of request from the U.S. government that is not in accordance with the law or can be legally fought, then Twitter will refuse as illegal, and if something can't be will legally ban it. And if something cannot be legal, will be Congress was such that it can be legally fought. But we cannot gag the voice of the people. This is not good. And like I said earlier, it's like you look at I read a lot of history. I love history, and I love history podcasts and stuff. And
Hardcore history is the best one.
Hardcore history. Dan Collin is so awesome.
It's fantastic. Start with the Mongols.
Yeah, but it's like you look through history, and it's like we have this pressure. We're in this precious situation where, like, this rare, unusual situation where there's actually, I mean, within boundaries, there is actually freedom of speech, but it's rare in history, and usually it's like been some king or whatever they were just by default suppress.
Hey guys, it's scientifically proven if you send cash apps, YouTube super chats, Facebook stars, whatever, it's scientifically proven to have them actually answer some fucking questions or ask some questions instead of getting off his balls.
Very, I think, essential to the future of civilization.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, this is why you're fighting, right? This is why, you're fighting for free speech so that we can have it in the future. Because if we don't have control of the present, we do not have control of the future. It will be in the control of somebody else, someone that we absolutely do not want to be in control of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to chime in there, You know, there are a lot of people in the last decade that have lost hope because what's
Teresa,
happening in politics,
shout
what's
out
happening
to
in the media, there's so much frustration. And I think the most important thing
thank you,
that
Teresa.
you've done here, Elon, with your steps that you are taking is to give people hope again.
Well, great. I'm really glad to hear that. And like I said, I'll do my best here. You know, I'm definitely going to make some mistakes along the way, and it won't be perfect. But I'll also then do my best to correct those mistakes, and to be, you know, the least dumb possible. But you know, like as I say, Vox Populi, Vox Dei, man. It's like, yeah. I mean,
It's a very white pilling moment to have you fight this fight. You know, I mean, a lot of us have been fighting this culture war for
They're on
free
his
speech, basically, and you know, I think a lot of people have lost hope because they didn't see anyone caring about it. Right? It's like the majority of people obviously do care, but they just don't know what to do. And yeah, it's true what Kim said. Just to echo what he
thank you,
said.
Amanda,
Thank
for
you
the
for fighting
cash
this
app.
fight. I mean, this is very, very important. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's all of us.
Are they going to ask a real question?
absolutely, I totally agree. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like sort of, you know, worried about the future of civilization. You know, just like, are we headed in a good direction? Like, you know, and if you study history, you sort of see like the arc of civilizations, the rise and fall. You know, there's the ancient Sumerians, the ancient Egyptians. You know, in India and China, there've been many sort of rises and falls of civilizations within India and China, and it's just like people sometimes take for granted that because they've been in an upcycle, that things just get better in the future, and they don't just automatically get better. They actually civilizations tend to have an arc, and we want to make sure that we do not find ourselves on the downslope of that arc.
You know, good times make weak men, right? And we are in the good times right now, and we're seeing a lot of weak men, right? Like that's where we are in this arc, and it sucks. So let's try not to repeat the same cycle. We need to fight the cycle.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, not to sort of get like too philosophical about things here, but there is like sort of a, you know, I've had these discussions with like a lot of people, and feel like I'm wondering, like, you know, sort of what's the meaning of life? Like, what should we do? Like, why do anything? You know, and you know, for some people that answer is religious, but then if you're not sort of very religious, then what is the answer? And actually, my theory on that is that I sort of believe in Douglas Adams' philosophy that, you know, the universe is the answer, and we should strive through greater understanding to expand the scope and scale of consciousness to better understand what questions to ask about the answer that is the universe. You know, it's basically a religion of curiosity. Like let's you know, grow into the future, expand in the future, expand consciousness, expand our understanding, and to just figure out what the heck's going on.
And it's the
Elon,
number 42,
stand
right? The number 42 as well. And also, you know, don't panic and make sure you grab a towel.
Elon, thanks for joining us.
I
Without
feel like
giving
it's in
away
the
too
chat.
much,
Ask
really
you
quick,
harder
Elon, is
questions
there
than
any
what
way
have
to
been
get a
asked
sneak
in this
peek of
queue. A open
what we
mouth
can
smile.
expect with the next Twitter files drop?
Well, I'm somewhat leaving this up to Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss, but I think the natural thing for would be to say, like, okay, what happened after the election? the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. And by the way, I actually don't. I this may sound bizarre, but like Hunter Biden seems kind of fun, to be honest.
I know, right? Yeah. He's an artist. Do you know that?
He seems like he knows how to have a good time.
I mean,
so
he has a
don't
sense
want
of humor about
to beat
himself.
up Hunter Biden here, but but just beyond the what happened after the election? What how much government influence was there? There's this whole sort of move to create a disinformation ministry, which was insane. And like George Orwell is turning in his grave. Did you hear such things? But like, what happened with that? I think there was a public outcry about a disinformation.
Yeah,
ministry.
Jack Posobiec started that one. He basically stopped it in its tracks because before that, nobody knew that this was even a thing, right? And he exposed it, and suddenly everybody was talking about it, and they had to shut it down because it was very Orwellian. It was like they used 1984 as a instruction manual.
Exactly, totally. It's exactly 1984 is George Orwell's 1984 is supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual.
Yep.
Guys, come on.
And that's what they seem to be doing. They take every single, dystopian fiction, whether it's DSX, I love that game, and they're like, yeah, this world looks awesome. Let's oppress the hell out of people. It's like, no, let's not do that.
Exactly, totally.
Hey, Elon, speaking of progress, you've accomplished so much. You started the first successful American car company in 100 years. You brought payments to the internet. There's a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners that look at what you do and sort of try to, follow that example and see how can they create some of that progress too. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about the layoffs because it appeared to me with the $4 million loss per day, and just doing the math on the $1 billion of interest expense, that $3 million
Thank you, Ray Bay,
of
for
that
that
may have been
super chat.
Interest expense added. And I myself, running a small
I
business,
sent you something on PayPal like an hour ago.
The business
Did you
was going
get
to
it?
go
Sent
under
a message
in a number of months if expenses weren't cut. And what we found is communicating to employees, giving them time to process, getting their feedback, and then creating a shared vision to evolve the product, to evolve the company to a greater future was really successful. And it appears here that the typical like leverage buyout KKR approach was basically applied from a financial standpoint. For a small business owner, like, is that approach wrong? Like, did you think about taking that approach? Was that ever under consideration?
And I apologize. Like the audio is not perfect, so I'm not fully hearing the questions. But with respect to Twitter, the company basically tripled headcount in about 2 years, a little over 2 years, but revenue is flat to declining. So that there's just no way that is going to be a healthy situation. So the first order of business with Twitter was like, okay, we got to make sure Twitter doesn't die, that doesn't go bankrupt. And there is quite a lot of debt on this deal, $12.5 billion of debt, and the Fed is being extremely unwise in its very giant rate increases. I think these will go down as some of the most foolish Fed decisions ever. But anyway, so the debt's got to be serviced,
But KKR's been loading up businesses like that for years. How's this different?
Sorry?
KKR and other private equity companies that do anything from a hostile takeover, or any sort of takeover where they bid over the current price, using leverage, using debt. I've been following that for years, and it always results in massive layoffs. And so, as somebody who's
by the way, I don't think anybody cares about that. I don't think that matters right now.
That's what I was gonna say. And I was going to say, as long as they keep moving the bar and changing the definition of a recession, we are where we are, right? With the Fed.
Let's get back on topic here. We have Elon. We don't need to talk about, his investments and things like that. Elon, we should send a shout out to the Twitter Spaces team because you're about to break the all-time record with this space. We're almost at 100,000 listeners right now.
Yes, we are, and it's holding.
Talking about spaces, what's the strategy moving forward?
Is awesome. Look, I have to tell you, there are really some amazing people at Twitter, and there's actually some amazing people who actually left Twitter in recent years, and I hope they come back because I think there's a potential to just build some amazing things here. So I don't want to I want to be exactly complimentary of some of the great work that is being done at Twitter. So it's sort of it's sort of like, I mean, there's a lot to criticize about Twitter and say like, okay, Twitter is wasting money in a lot of in really some next level ways, but also very talented people who really care about the truth at Twitter, and I'm doing my best to elevate their capabilities and give them all the resources they need. I'm very excited about Community Notes. This feature, Keith Coleman's running it, and there's like some really first-rate engineers that are writing the code on that product that is, I think, going to be very powerful for actually fighting disinformation, not.
Can we actually see that if we're not enrolled in Community Notes, right? Like right now, the rest of the world isn't, right? It's just the United States and I think Canada, to my knowledge. But can you at least make it visible to other people? So even if we're not able to contribute, we can at least view it, because I feel kind of left out. I'm in Malaysia, so it's kind of hard to see it.
Yeah, actually, I asked that. I sent a note to Keith Coleman saying like, hey, shouldn't we just at least make this visible everywhere? And then he said we needed to talk in person about that, but I'm not sure what.
Hey Elon, we did want to say on the Twitter Spaces during the blowout of SBF and FTX and all the other companies in crypto, there's been massive financial losses for many people, obviously. But Twitter Spaces actually became the place that drove the community together, and we've been sharing lots of stories. There were people that were suicidal because of the financial loss, and because of the community in Twitter Spaces, it prevented them taking their life. There's lots and lots of stories.
And to add to it as well, Elon, last time, if you remember when you joined the space about Sam, that space ended up going for 16 hours, and for 3-4 days, the media was in our space, getting the news from the space for 4 days, 5 days straight, and then writing stories on it day after day. And I think Simon was there, Kim was there, so it was I think it's the first time it happens to that extent on Twitter Spaces, and we're probably doing it again today.
Yeah, and this type of citizen journalism that you are enabling is so powerful, because we are the news now. If people want to learn the truth, they go to Twitter and join these spaces. It's like real time with experts. It's fantastic. And then we have people like you joining in and sharing their opinions and their thoughts. What is more powerful than that? The traditional media can pack and it's game over for them.
Elon, would you ever consider holding a space for earnings for Tesla right here live on Twitter?
Oh man, I have to say, Tesla being a public company, it just creates such a gigantic attack surface for legal firms in the U.S., especially these class action firms.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea.
I've been to spaces that other CEOs held, and they did their earnings live right on Twitter, and I thought it was quite amazing.
Okay, well, yeah, sure. I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
You've made Elon. You've just made two promises. You've made two promises, man. Now you've made this one, and you've made one to Kim about the you made a promise to Kim about the poll, and now you made a promise to hold the Tesla meeting here on Spaces. So just I'll remind you afterwards about it as well.
I will.
Elon, I've been getting a lot of questions.
I will do those things.
Yeah. So I've been getting a lot of questions from people who are just bombarding me just to ask you, right? Because we're in the space. They're asking, what are you going to do about the shadow banning situation? Because I'm personally search banned. I'm not shadow banned, but I am search banned, and I'm not sure what's even up with that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've only been on the job like a month, guys. So there's definitely I've got a long list of things to do. But there needs to be a general. We need to say, like, your account should actually just tell you you are search banned or you are deboosted or whatever it is, and why and what the process is for fixing that. Now, this week I should tell you that we were probably a little overzealous, and that's if anything that's my fault, because I'm just trying to get rid of the damn scams and spam and bots and stuff, and so in trying to stamp out or reduce the bot spam scam stuff, there will be some false positives. So that's just this week, but be taking. I know it's going to be an iterative journey towards towards truth and towards a healthier system. So
you just gotta be patient. I think, right?
At any given point, it will be broken, but it will be moving as quickly as possible towards a good place. And I encourage people to, complain about it and whatnot, but it will move iteratively towards a good place. That's the goal.
The big guy gets 30%.
Pretty fast, so on the net, the vector sum of those decisions over time should be.
I'm losing him.
Yeah,
by the way, Kim, check my DMs. Kim, check my DMs. Kim, check my DMs because I'm having glitches, so I might need your help with a few things.
This is kind of
Elon, Elon, you're back. Elon.
Yep.
You're back. Another question. I think you made a reference once to WeChat. I think that was a while ago, and I don't recall it correctly. Does that reference still stand today? Is that a potential vision for Twitter?
Yeah, I was just using WeChat as an example. It's not like we would copy WeChat exactly, but it's just WeChat has a lot of functionality that Twitter should have. Like it's kind of a no-brainer for Twitter to have payments, both fiat currency and crypto, and to make that easy and simple for people to use. As we talked about earlier, adding the ability to post long-form written content and video content, and to be able to monetize that easily.
Nice to have a playlist, like YouTube does.
Yeah, but my focus in the first month and also will be the case in December is just making sure that Twitter is operating efficiently as a company, that it is not wasting money, because it faces challenges on the revenue front, from with an overdependence on advertising that is not targeted, like brand advertising, and in a market where advertising revenue in general is dropping, and then also when you start questioning the status quo, then various pressure groups start pressuring advertisers to not advertise with you. So that's another challenge on the revenue front. And then you got the debt, and the debt now has a very high interest rate. So it's like these are a lot of challenges simultaneously that I think we'll solve these challenges, but these are a lot of things to solve. So the first order of business is just get Twitter healthy. Make sure its expenditures are reasonable. That Twitter's like primarily a software company. There are obviously design elements, but it's primarily software and servers. And so, like, is the software team organized well? Those that are committing good code, and just making the engine of engineering work at Twitter. Because if you look at, say, like, what is Twitter's technology evolution over time, excluding acquisitions, it's been very low. It's technology of Twitter has been very slow. And
10 years to an edit button.
Yeah, exactly. The edit button. Look, I mean, if it takes a year to do an edit button and the edit button still doesn't work properly, then you can have a million good ideas, but they're irrelevant because you can't implement them.
So Elon, I've got a quick question for you, my friend. I was removed from the space.
Hey, I want to test my mic. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Maybe you can't. Can you hear me?
Alex, we can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Let Alex ask his first question.
Okay. Does Alex want to go, and then I can go?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So my question was, if the Twitter files, are those also going to include other content other than the Hunter Biden laptop? So basically all cases?
Yeah.
Alex, Mario, we can't hear you.
This is a bit of an audio shit show. Let's try and get this back on the road. I unmuted everyone. I muted everyone. I'm going to unmute those who are not talking. Just mute yourself, please.
I would like to ask Elon a quick question.
Okay, trying this again.
I think Alex just did, and he was ready to respond. He just now would have to unmute himself to respond to Alex.
I'm getting over this shit.
Yeah, quick. I was just wondering if all accounts that were requested to have things taken down by the DNC and by the Biden campaign, even ones that have nothing to do with the Hunter Biden laptop, if they will also be released.
Elon, you're muted.
You got to unmute. Yeah, you got to unmute.
Yep, he's got to unmute.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. The intent is to release all the files. So it's not like anything that's hidden or anything.
How was audio dropped off?
I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, no shit.
He dropped out. Is my mic good, Kim, by the way? Is my mic okay?
We can hear you.
You just
Mario,
sound like you are in.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Oh, okay.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Elon.
Yeah, you cut out. Yeah, you cut out for a second. You were answering Alex.
I mean, I think this is, this is like whatever Stasi files or, Truth and Reconciliation. Like Nelson Mandela would say, it's if you want reconciliation, there must be truth. So, that's the intent here. Intent here is to just make it clear what was happening, and provide transparency about the past, and in doing so, to build trust about the future.
Awesome. So do you think that Twitter could also have an automatic notification if anyone was, say, if their account was requested content taken down? Do you think there could be something like that implemented?
Yeah, like the VPN sites actually offer that.
Yeah, I mean, you mean if if a government has a takedown request or something like that?
Yeah. Like if a government says, "Hey, we want you censored," I mean, I think for example, even Germany would let you know, right? So why doesn't America? Yeah.
Or with James Woods, for example, how his content was, they requested his content be removed. Say if that happened from the Biden campaign.
He was posting pornography. Come on, dude. That's not even a good example.
I think both
Kayleigh McEnany would be the good example.
And future requests should be made public. And sunshine is a great disinfectant, and so if if they request content takedowns that are embarrassing, then they'll be less likely to request those content takedowns. At the end of the day, Twitter doesn't have a choice but to abide by the laws of the U.S. and whatever countries it's operating in. Otherwise, you get arrested. But we shouldn't do more than that. It should be abide by the laws because you have to. If there may be some potential to say, like, well, if we disagree with the law, maybe we can lobby to have a law changed or something like that. But
so Elon, I want to ask you on this point. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I'm saying the overarching goal here is that, on balance, that Twitter be a force for good for the future of civilization, and for the expansion of consciousness.
So to that point, I want to ask you then, because I'm speaking from the European lens, what do you think about the EU's proposals over potential restrictions to the use of Twitter?
I think we're losing you a little bit.
Or equally, I know you had a little bit of a, shall we say, fanfare with Alex Vindman earlier this week. I was wondering if you would be interested in a space with you and him, since I know him from the week ago. We had a chat. I invite you to,
Why
to
would
a
anyone
debate
want to talk
if
to
you'd
Alex
be
Vindman?
interested. If you'd be interested.
But
gotta
Elon,
ask.
don't waste your time with the intelligence community, man.
Seriously, yeah.
I'm teasing. But I am curious about your thoughts on the European Union perspective.
Well, actually, there's a lot of the EU rules call for things that I agree with, which is transparency and
Thank you,
sort of
Tam
ability
Mo on
for
Facebook for the
users
stars.
to appeal and have a clear process. So I think in terms of the Digital Services Act, I think it's mostly good. I think we have to watch the implementation of it and make sure the implementation is not bad for the people of Europe. But the actual I think most of what is in there I agree with, because it's transparency and accountability. It seems quite sensible. We just need to make sure that is not warped in a bad direction. But generally, I agree with it, or at least what I know of it today.
But
I
what
have a
about
quick
the
question for you,
thing
Elon.
is that we don't allow
guys,
governments to define what misinformation or disinformation is, right? I mean, that is probably the most dangerous development, to give governments that kind of power that they become the deciders of what's truth and what is not.
Yeah, no, that is a big deal. I agree. That goes to the heart of the situation. Is that you don't want to have governments, and especially it may not even be sort of it may not be an elected official. Maybe someone who's potentially a mid-level executive in a ministry who's deciding this, and who people don't even know exists and was never elected, despite being in a democratic country. So
what about the China protests? What role do you think that Twitter can have in helping to support Iran, Ukraine, China, and other countries that are facing, technological oppression and limitation in their access to freedom of speech?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, we'll do whatever is possible within the bounds of the law. So,
I have a kind of a personal question, and I've been curious. Was there a breaking point that made you decide to want to buy Twitter?
Man, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I was hoping you would say the child exploitation that you've done more to get rid of in the past month than they did in the past 10 years on Twitter. And I wanted to thank you for that. And I'm sorry that the media has completely snubbed you on mentioning the fact that you guys have gone above and beyond to make that happen. And Eliza Blue, thank you for your work and efforts there.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank Eliza Blue. I would like to thank Andrea as well. We've actually had this is actually like a really good case of crowdsourcing of having people on Twitter actually help solve the child exploitation stuff. It's actually it is true. Yes, Twitter has done more to stop child exploitation in the last month than probably the last 10 years. That's insane. It kind of blows my mind, frankly. And we're going to keep doing it, and it's always going to be number one. I mean, it's like kids can't defend themselves, so we must defend them as adults. So, yeah. Back to the question, yeah.
Mario, we can't hear you.
I heard him.
No,
He
you
said,
just
"Why
sound
did you
like
decide to buy
like a
Twitter?"
mosquito now.
Is what he said. Damn, bro.
Sounds like he's in the toilet, to be honest.
Elon, do you still have plans to drop the W? Everyone is asking.
I mean, technically the poll did come out positive on that. So
The people have spoken.
No, the people have not spoken. But more to my question, like, I don't think you answered that. Like, I want to know, like, what was the breaking point? I think a lot of people want to know this one.
Stupid,
like, what was the breaking point that made you want to buy Twitter?
Well, first of all, I suppose if Twitter had been, if I'd been able to buy Twitter sooner, then I might have actually done that. But there had to be a situation where my liquidity was enough and Twitter's value was, whether there was essentially a closing price. Like, would I actually have bought? That wasn't the case until recently. But I guess it just felt like it really had been building for some time. So I wouldn't say there was it wasn't like a step change suddenly. This is a one thing. It's not like, oh, the Babylon Bee got banned, that's why I bought Twitter. That would be crazy. It's more that there just seemed to be like this more and more groupthink amongst the media, more and more sort of towing the line amongst digital social media companies, and basically just we're traveling the path more and more of suppression of free speech, and this was just getting me concerned. It's like the trends were just very, very bad. So unless something was done to reverse this trend against free speech, then I felt, well, maybe that at some point everything will just get cut off, and unless you're in agreement with whatever the groupthink is, then you're just going to be ostracized, or your voice will be shut off. So like I said, it wasn't any one thing. It was just like, okay, I can't exactly say why, because it's like one of those things where it's like it's just that my biological neural nets said it is important to buy Twitter, and just like with a digital neural net, you can't really exactly explain why the neural net is able to understand an image or text, but just say that the collective result of the neural net says that this is an important action, or this is the right action, and my biological neural nets concluded that it was important to buy Twitter, and that if Twitter was not bought and steered in a good direction, that it would be a danger for the future of civilization, and so that's why I bought it.
That's brilliant.
Elon,
that's
you mentioned the biological neural net and the digital neural net. When is Neuralink going to be ready to copy our consciousness into a computer
Please, can I sign up?
forever?
Where can I sign up for it? Because I would love to have my brain.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to lose my fucking cool. I will see you guys fucking tomorrow or Monday. I'm not joking. Fuck this shit. They're not even going to talk about this stuff at all to give anything else that's going to reaffirm what has transpired. They're not going to talk about any of that stuff because they got a bunch of people that want to be like retweeted by Elon Musk. So they're literally on his balls going, blah, blah, blah. That's what they're doing. They're not asking any fucking questions. They're not talking about anything else. What they should be saying is, Elon, do you know conclusively that anyone by name, like you have the emails from the Biden team that asked to have the post taken down? Or do you have the emails from the Biden team that specifically asked to have the pornography, whatever, taken down? They're not talking about anything. So just like always, we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs. This, make no mistake, is a 95,000 people listening to Elon Musk talk about why he's so great, because that's what these people want to know. They don't want to know what actually transpired. I want to know what's going on, because here's the thing. Do you know how you know that there was election interference? It's not because of the information that was released yesterday. No. It's because of information that was released back in December of 2020 when Joel Roth gave an sworn statement to the Federal Elections Committee or Commission, whatever, saying that the FBI for months leading up to October 14th said that there was going to be a hack involving Hunter Biden. This is stupid. Like, he could say that. He could say, hey, why? Like, my question, why did you fire Joel Roth? Why did you do that? Like, that would be a better question. Why is he not with your company? Did you find out that he was cooperating with the federal government in an effort to silence a political opponent? Like, those are the questions. WLM said, you ain't going to do nothing anyway, so you in the hoodie. All right. Go get that troll, that racist scumbag, please, will you? All my YouTube mods, find out which one he is and delete him. Because we don't allow racism in here, even if you're being racist towards me. See, guys, please do that real quick. My YouTube mods, find them and ban them. Oh, my gosh. Someone's being stupid racist in my chat right now. Oh my gosh. It just frustrates me. We've listened. Like,
Do you potentially see this happening in a country where
they're not even like today they were supposed to be releasing documents. Here's the thing. You want to know the truth? There's a lot of things that are not happening. There's a lot of things that aren't happening with the Elon Musk takeover, right? He says it's going to be a free speech platform. I don't believe they could do that. They'll lose Section 230 protection, and therefore they'll literally be forced to moderate, which is likely going to happen after this dump anyway, because Republicans are so hyper-focused on talking about this without realizing the consequences. You're not seeing very many people talk about the document that's on your screen right there. You know why? Because that proves that the United States government under the Trump administration, granted, obviously it wasn't for the benefit of the Trump administration. It's not even just that there was election interference. This is treason. That is what this is. These were people that were working under the White House administration, under Donald Trump, that were actively working against his presidency. You know, someone said Tyson Hook said he gave the journalist all the Twitter files and they will be exposing all the information inside the internal docs in expose pieces soon. Last night was just a teaser of what's to come. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit because last night they were blanking out emails. You didn't see any any sort of proof. You didn't see any sort of proof that the Biden, the DNC, the Biden team, anybody actually contacted Twitter. You didn't see a damn thing. Anybody that wants to challenge me on that, you prove me wrong right now. Where did you see an email from Biden for America, whatever stupid shit is? Or where did you see one from the DNC.com? I'll hold my breath because not a single one of you is going to be able to find that. What you found are emails between Twitter employees. We already know they're fucking crazy leftists. We already know. We didn't see a single email. You know what it did say? And this is what the left fucking nutty media is figuring out now. You know what it did say, however? That the Trump administration contacted Twitter to have accounts flagged and removed. That is illegal. It's not illegal if I, as a super rich billionaire, contact Twitter and say, hey, this guy's talking shit, take it off. There's nothing that can be done about that. It's not illegal. It's illegal when the government is going against free speech and compelling speech. That's when it's illegal. And nobody's talking about it. Like, nobody's talking about it. I have so many questions about Section 230. Are you worried about losing Section 230 protections? Because that's what's going to happen. Democrats and Republicans are going to be attacking Section 230 protections. I've been talking about it the whole day. You know what I mean? Lisa said that's exactly what the lefties were saying today. There's no proof. I said it last night as it was coming out live. As we came out live, they showed the email number 8, where they highlighted the 5. Remember the 5 accounts? I'll tell you which ones. They highlighted Ding Gang Chinese, 5 photos, 4 of which were porn, pictures of Hunter Biden. And the 5th was a picture of the Biden family. That was the first tweet that they mentioned. The second one, username Let's 3481. The guy's from Japan. And a deleted video from Hunter Biden. Porn. That's why it was deleted. Third one, JSJX_2. Hunter Biden porn. Go figure, right? The fourth one, Ozwenga, all in Chinese, deleted as well because it linked to porn. The fifth one, and guess what? Guy Squigs, deleted. Guess what it led to? Porn. That's what it led to. And then you want to go, real James Woods. What was his? Porn. What was the first one? Stephen Lin Hoon. Links to gtv.org. It's an anti-CCP video site that links to, guess what? Hunter Biden porn. That has no relevance. Twitter has full right and responsibility and legally obliged to have to remove it because Hunter Biden didn't give anyone permission to leak those photos. It's a crime. It's a crime, especially in California. He's a California resident. Twitter's in California. He could sue Twitter right now. I don't know. It's just, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Section 230 is good for right now because it gives these platforms protection against. So like Section 230 actually protects free speech. The reason why Republicans want to take it away is because they don't feel like they're being unfairly, or they want to remove Section 230 because of these social media platforms that have left-leaning ideology are literally exercising their right as a business to take someone off the platform. So what Section 230, the only reason why Republicans want to get rid of Section 230 or revamp it is to hold the social media companies accountable and say you no longer have the right to do that. Guess what that is? It's government compelled speech. The very same people that are like, all the conservatives that are pissed off that Twitter is making the determination that they don't want something on the platform are the same ones that were walking into convenience stores and throwing hissy fits because they have to put on a mask or get a COVID shot. Think about it. They're the same ones that says a business, shouldn't be able to require you to wear shirts and shoes. Oh, guess what? They're not doing that. But it's so crazy, dude. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. What do you think happens when Section 230 is removed? Moderation, content moderation. Section 230 literally protects Twitter. Say I write a tweet and I'm like, so-and-so really sucks big, hairy bulls. And it's factually inaccurate. That person only has a recourse to come after me for defamation because of Section 230 protections. If they didn't have Section 230 protections, and I wrote, so-and-so really likes big bulls, then they could sue Twitter as well. That's why you don't see newspapers writing out that so-and-so has really big bulls, because immediately they don't have Section 230 protection. So they would sue the outlet, they would sue the writer, they would sue the publishers, they would sue the printer, they would sue everybody. Oh my gosh, dude. The one thing I could say for certain, 100% certainty right now is that based on this document right here, the Federal Election Commission, a sworn declaration by Yoel Roth, this document right here, and let me scroll down so you see it. He's the head of site integrity at Twitter. He was one that was just let go. Look at this. Since 2018, I have had regular meetings with the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers regarding election security. This is what just came out about Facebook. Twitter was also in there. Yoel Roth was in there. During these weekly meetings, federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they expected a hack and leak operation by state actors that might occur in the period shortly before the 2020 presidential election, likely on October. I was also told at these meetings that the intelligence community expected that the individuals associated with political campaigns would be subject to hacking attacks, and the material obtained through those hacking attacks would likely be disseminated on social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed throughout 2020. I also learned during these meetings that there were rumors that the hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. This statement, the sworn statement from a Twitter liberal, this sworn statement proves that the federal government, that members of the federal government were meeting with Twitter and prepping them for the leak of Hunter Biden's laptop. They already knew about it. You're going to learn that tomorrow in the New York Post. They already knew about it. So what did this do? What does this do? This means that nobody can hold Twitter accountable now. Because Twitter has an obligation when they've been told by the federal government that there's going to be a leak, it's going to involve Hunter Biden, and they suspect that it's hack and leak material. They have an obligation to block and investigate that. This completely absolves Twitter from doing anything. And that's why you didn't hear this. That's why you didn't hear that reporter last night talking about Yoel Roth, even though this is widely known. He was a Twitter employee. That's why you don't hear any of this stuff. I'll tell you what happened. Elon Musk was sitting down and said, we're going to do this. This is a big campaign. It's going to draw a ton of users to Twitter. We're going to release all this information on Twitter. We're going to hold all these special spaces on Twitter. It's going to be great. And then you know what ends up happening? Yoel Roth is like, I'm not going to do that. I don't know the guy, but I can only assume he has a shred of credibility because he went and told the truth to the FEC about meeting with the FBI and DOJ and all that stuff. You know? Someone said, I need to listen now. I'm not going back to listen to that shit. Nah, they just fucking wasted my time. Dude, they are literally spinning. That's all they're doing. They're playing you. And I with 100% certainty right now believe that this has all been a big ploy. All been a big ploy. The one thing I don't understand is how nobody documented this article before today. This whole thing. Man, I wish I could share this to all you guys. This is dated from December 21st, 2020. I don't know when it was added into the court record, but this is dated December 21st, 2020. And it goes into the whole thing. You could literally, people could make the inclination that the federal government set up Twitter to literally censor the Hunter Biden story. It's not about Twitter sitting there and being like, oh, we had to censor it. No, they had no choice based on what I read here. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. And I know everyone wants to believe that Elon Musk is going to save us. Shit, I wanted to believe that he was going to instill free speech. I talked highly of him, you know? And I don't know. I just think we all just got played, dude. That's what I think. I think we all just got played. You know? And that's to be honest, that's my my true feeling. You know? They even talk about Section 230 in this document. You know, this is by lawyers that are justifying their decision to censor that article. And then you have this statement at the bottom, which this statement is damning. Since 2018, I've had regular meetings with the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry. This document absolves Twitter from any legal responsibility. I guarantee it. No one will ever see a dime for this. No one will ever see a dime. James Woods is saying that he's going to sue the DNC for trying to have them take down a picture of Hunter Biden's wang. Okay, go get your news. You're a couple of days. Yeah, I've never even heard of the guy. Apparently, he's an older actor. I don't know, man. And you know what the problem? You know what the problem is to me the most is that the truth, this part, where you can actually, to me, this isn't just about election integrity or anything like that. This doesn't just show election interference. Matter of fact, it does. It shows election interference by the federal government. The federal government under a president of the United States actively worked to undermine his campaign to get reelected and worked with the company. It's just like the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. It's literally just like that, where all the FBI agents found 4 little morons in their mom's basements and convinced them by providing them with the plans, providing them with the vehicles, driving them to the locations, giving them the training on the bombs, and then arresting them and said they're going to go kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. It was all made up. This is the same thing. This is so wrong, dude. It's so wrong. Someone said James Woods is an awesome dude. I don't know. Listen, I will question the integrity of anybody who posts a photo of some dude's wang up on social media, okay? I don't care how great they are for the conservative party. If you take a photo of some dude's wanger and you post that on social media, in my book, you're not a good dude. I don't care. Billy Mack said, wait, so you're saying Trump was behind this to sabotage? Are you kidding? Yo, keep on this. No, remember the Russian collusion hoax where the FBI agents and the lawyers and everybody was working to undermine Donald Trump? That is exactly 100% what happened here. Without a doubt, this is even more obvious than the Russian collusion hoax. With this one document, and then the hesitation in those emails that were released yesterday, you got a case. You have a case, and you're not seeing the people on social media talking about it, which is crazy to me. You're not seeing the Quartering talking about it like this. You're not seeing any of these big, huge social media accounts. No, you got me with 700 people watching, and that's it. Nobody else is going to talk about it. So what happened was, yes, there was an actual insurrection. 100%. That's what it is. It was treason. Well, I don't know would it be treason? Because they were working to well, yeah. I mean, dude, they were employees of the federal government. So sad, dude. So sad. Do we have the context of where the document came from? This document I'm showing you on your screen? Yeah, you want to see the context of where? Here, hold on. I'll give you all the document. How about that? And share it far and wide. That's what everyone needs to do. Just share it like crazy. There's the document in your chat right there. Share that document out. And then you'll see all the way at the bottom. I haven't even read the whole thing. I scrolled all the way to the affidavit because I look at court documents all day long. Mr. Monstar 4123 with a $20 YouTube super chat. Thank you, dude. Today's been pretty dry. It wasn't like last night. Last night we did pretty good. Today has been low on the super chats, low on the cash apps and all that. We got a $50 one, so that's great. And I appreciate that. But man, people have to pay attention. People have to pay attention to what they're not telling you and why they're trying to deceive you. You know what I mean? Yeah, everyone's focused on the DNC because the DNC, and is that wrong? Absolutely. Is it wrong for the DNC to go and try to tell people that that tweets need to be removed? 100%. But then again, I'm also someone that believes that a corporation has a right to make up their own rules and regulations, and nobody should be able to step in their way. You know what I mean? That's why I'm not offended. Well, I just choose not to patronize that store, but I'm not offended if I walk to a business and they want me to wear a mask, even though COVID's done. I'm not offended when I go to a nightclub and they're like, you have to wear pants, not shorts. I'm not offended because they can make their own policies. Or if you go to a restaurant where you got to wear a dinner jacket, I'm not offended by that because a business has the right to make their own determination. Just like if someone came into my store and started giving me shit, I have the right to kick them out. You know what I mean? And if you try to say that I then need to serve them, or that business needs to accept me in my gym shorts, or that person has to wear a mask when they go in a business, or you know what I mean, the opposite, or you tell that business that they're not allowed to have people wear masks, that's interference. You're literally telling people what they can and can't do. Someone said if they're doing the bidding of the government, they're not a private business anymore. Yeah, but the thing is, everyone's looking at it the wrong way. They're looking at it the wrong way. Everyone's thinking that they're doing the business of the government under the Biden administration. They were doing the business of the government under the Trump administration for the Biden administration. That is the story. And I'll be honest, and I think that's why they said, oh, from the DNC. On that email, the 8th email, where they put out that email and it's like, these were canceled at the request of the Biden team, or whatever the hell they said. I think that was disinformation. I think they deliberately put that out there. That's why you don't see it actually come from the Biden administration. You have no proof that this is actually coming from the DNC. You have no proof it's coming from the Biden team. There's no proof whatsoever of that actually existing. Because in all reality, you notice how they didn't talk about these meetings with the federal government? Why would they talk about those meetings if they want full transparency? Why wouldn't they talk about those meetings? If they were going to talk about those meetings, everyone would have really saw all those people that, fuck, you would have got Democrats to be like, oh shit, oh snap, that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? But they didn't even talk about it. Nobody talked about it. Now you got Jack Possible, however you say his name. He's posting this out, and it's slowly catching on. But the fact is half of the stuff he posts out, nobody pays attention to as well. I saw this earlier today when I was sitting at home, and I literally sat up and I was like, oh my God, there's your election interference. Damn commies said, number 8, my guy, investigate that and you'll get a Biden team connection. Oh yeah? Show me that Biden team connection. Where do you see a Biden email? Because that email is from a Twitter employee to a Twitter employee. Tell me where you see the collusion with the Biden team. Who was that? The my guy. You tell me where you see that. And I'll tell you what I'll do right now. I'll put $100 right on the table right now. You tell me where you see an email from the Biden team. You tell me where you see a name from the Biden team. You tell me where you see anything from the Biden team. And I'll give you $100. But I expect you to give me $100 when you realize that you can't do that because it doesn't show that. Damn commie said more from the Biden team. Yeah, who was the email written by, buddy? Who was it written by? Who was it written by? A Twitter employee. Yeah, I know you're fucking heart deflated right now. You're all like, oh shit, Steve got me with facts again. That's what just happened. That's what just happened. Trust me, I fucking hate Biden. Anyone who's been watching this for a long time, you know I hate Biden, okay? But that email where they said the Biden team requested that was sent by a Twitter employee. You guys don't, here, I'll show you. Stand by. Watch, I'll show you. Go down to number 8. This is the email that he's talking about. Look, more to review from the Biden team. See up at the top right here, where's my mouse? See this? What's that say? That's a Twitter email. They wrote this. And then this Twitter employee said, handled. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? This email, there's no proof that this email even came, or that the suggestion to ban these accounts even came from the Biden team. We can assume that that's true, based on the, obvious they're corrupt as fuck. But we can't, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Someone said, I don't have Twitter. You don't need it. Look at your screen. I have the email right there. You don't have any corroborating evidence that this actually came. And case in point, this you could use in a courtroom, right? If you're going to sue the Biden administration. But you can't, because you can't even prove that this email originated from them. You have a Twitter employee saying more to review from the Biden team. You don't have a Biden team member that would say like, hi, BidenSucks.com, or something like that. And those are the truth. Those are the facts. Someone said, click the links in the email. Are you talking about this? All those Twitter links, they're all deleted. But you want to know what they are? You want to know what they are? I'll tell you what they are because I looked them all up. I saw more of Hunter Biden's penis than I ever want to again. But I looked them up, and all of you guys can too. Go to thewaybackmachine.com. And you got to type it all in manually. It sucks ass, but you can do it. The first one, Jared879835561. His username was ding_gang. You know what he posted? That the Biden team told Twitter they wanted removed. You would assume it had something to do with the laptop, right? Like it was a New York Times post or New York Post article or something. Nope. He posted 5 photos, 4 of which were Hunter Biden's dick, and then one of which was a whole picture of the Biden family. That was one tweet. So he posted 5 photos. The second one, Let3481, that was his username as well. He's a guy from Japan, okay? A deleted video of porn. Let's go to the next one. In that porn, Hunter Biden. JX_2 is the next one. Guess what that was? Biden porn. Fourth one, Ozwengi or whatever. OZWEN or WENYA. Yeah. Guess what that one was? We don't know. It was a video, but it's kind of hard because the entire page was in Chinese. The fifth one, let's go to that. Guy Squigs. What was that? Oh, a picture of Hunter Biden's dick. So you're telling me that you guys are using pornographic images from Hunter Biden of his wang and saying, look, this shows that the Biden team cooperated to get, they literally were pictures of his dick. You can look it up. Everyone can go to waybackmachine.com, type in that first one. You're going to be really surprised because a bunch of fucking naked pictures are going to show up on your screen. It's disgusting. And you may remember this one because that wasn't the only one, right? There was this one. This is another email that came apparently from the DNC, right? And they didn't know who it was, except it doesn't actually come from the DNC because it's from a Twitter employee to a Twitter employee. An additional report from the DNC. That Stephen Lujan guy, oh, guess what happened? That, when you went to that, put it in the Wayback Machine, it shows that it's links to 2 videos. The links, they go over to gtv.org. When you go to gtv.org, guess what it is? It's literally got a disclaimer and says this website was started for the anti-CCP movement. Somehow Hunter Biden's pictures got on here and we're not deleting them. The first video link leads to Hunter doing porn. The second link is Hunter doing porn while doing drugs. And then this third link there with the real James Wood, guess what that one was? Everyone knows what that is because he already announced today he's going to sue the DNC. Why is he going to sue the DNC? Because he posted a photo of Hunter Biden's dick. These are the facts. Like everyone is like, oh yeah, we got him. What do you got? You got pornography. Revenge porn is what it's classified as. It's illegal. And it violates Twitter's terms of service long before the Hunter Biden stuff. If these photos were leaked 2 weeks prior to Hunter Biden's laptop shit going out, it still would have been banned. It was forbidden stuff. Frank Heller said what it ended up doing is exposing the fact that the Trump administration, who was in office in 2020, actually did this. Biden was a candidate. Yes. So here's the big takeaways. One, we know there was election interference, and it wasn't by the Trump team, if that's what you're trying to say, but it was by people under the Trump administration because they were sowing all this doubt, just like I already said, right here, because they're having meetings all the time with Twitter. Since 2018, I've had regular meetings with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Homeland Security, blah, blah, blah. This article, which I put in the chat, everyone can go and share it all over the fucking place because this is a signed declaration. Look, you ready? Signed declaration right here by Yoel Roth at Twitter, head of site integrity. Signed declaration saying that he met with the feds who told him for months leading up to October that there was going to be a hack and leak movement or the hack and leak episode that's planned in October that involves Hunter Biden. And it's hacked material. So now when you know this, and then you look at the emails back and forth, like email 20, 30, all that stuff. Where is it? This one? When you scroll all the way past this and you start seeing these comments, oh, fuck. Oh, this one's Kayleigh McEnany because they censored her. When you check this and you look at this email and you look at this email, now it all makes sense because Twitter was like, shit, the FBI has been warning us for months that this information was going to be leaked. They're saying it's a Russian hack. We have all the proof that we need because the FBI has been telling us it's Russian hacks. Do you know what I mean? That's the craziest thing to me. That's the craziest thing to me is so many people don't even want to believe this stuff. What did Gorka ask? Gorka was saying the same thing because everyone is challenging Section 230, and he's like, that'll be awful. If you're talking about in this, the chat, I already closed Twitter. Fuck. I already closed out of that group. I'm not going back into it. I already pissed me off. Human guy said, did you see the contributions Rep versus Dem to Twitter? Democrats paid handsomely for this information. Oh, yeah? So are you saying Black Rifle Coffee, who donates 50 times more to Republicans than Democrats, their employees? Keep in mind, all those donations, this one that you see here, where is it? These donations, it's what they don't tell you. This is, if you don't know what this is, you just think this is Twitter. Twitter paying these donations. No, it's Twitter employees. This is the employees, because when you make a donation, you list your occupation. So they all know that these people work at Twitter. Go look at Black Rifle. 75% of all the money that they donate to political candidates goes to the right-leaning candidates. Do you know, you can find that anywhere. Someone said, what the F? Gorka asked about the files and the host cut him off. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It doesn't surprise me, dude. I hope people talk about it. Yeah, Miranda Devine also talked about the FBI affidavit. Yeah, she's releasing a big expose tomorrow. She has the names of the FBI agents that were wiretapping Rudy Giuliani because they knew he had the laptop. They couldn't go get the laptop. You know why? It wasn't stolen property. That's the problem with this whole story is they tried to say, oh, like, you know how they went after Ashley Biden's diary with Project Veritas, kicking in the door of James O'Keefe at 6:00 in the morning, searching his writers' homes. You know why they did that? That was stolen. Can't do that with the laptop. You know why? Because it wasn't stolen. The guy had a receipt. Hunter Biden dropped it off to pick up or to fix, and then the guy couldn't get in touch with him for 2 years. That guy is now the new beneficial owner of that laptop, and he gives it to Rudy Giuliani. There's nothing they could do. They couldn't send a court order to go get it. Nope, they can't do that. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I sincerely hope that people, someone said Black Rifle can't censor you though. But what if they could? Here's the thing. You guys are forgetting that a business still has the right to make their own editorial decisions. A business still can do that. A business, if I don't want someone coming in my store, and I know this is the most simplistic way of viewing it. If someone walks in that store and just starts talking about stuff I don't want, they walk in that door, it's locked, but because I'm doing a show. But imagine someone walks in there and they just start talking, they don't want to leave. Do I have the right to kick them out? Or do I have to sit there and allow myself to be subjected to their rhetoric? Do you see? If you and I'm using it in that context, and you could say it's property. Oh, that's property. It's different. So is someone's website. That's property. Do you know what I'm saying? So I am someone, granted, I'm a conservative as fuck, but I am someone that believes a corporation could dictate their own rules and regulations. That's why remember that the lady in Texas that had her collarbone broken when she refused to leave Bank of America, when they wanted her to wear a mask, and she's like, there's no mask mandates. And they said, we have a company-wide mandate. You have to wear a mask to come in here. She's like, I'm not leaving. And she got restrained by the police. Remember that? And all you guys got so pissed off. And I was like, listen, I understand the outrage. She shouldn't have to wear a mask, but that business has a right to make up whatever policies they want. As long as they're within the law, they have a right to do that. They have a right to do that. You know what I mean? And you know what? And I'll make a step, which is going to piss a lot of you off. If you believe a business can't make their own determinations, their own regulations, as long as they're within the scope of law, then you know what you are? A fucking Democrat. Because Democrats also felt like businesses couldn't take care of themselves, couldn't make up their own regulations. So what they do, they required businesses to have masks. They required businesses to close because of COVID. They required businesses to get mandatory shots. Democrats did that, not conservatives. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Those are the facts. And as much as people don't want to hear it because facts suck and people hate it and it doesn't align with the party, thing, those are the facts. A business has a right to make any editorial decision, no matter how fucking much it pisses us off. Does it suck around election time? Yeah, absolutely. But that's not the story here. That's what everyone wants. You know why CNN and everybody didn't write big news articles on this? Because people would be like, holy fuck, why is CNN writing about this? They're trying to keep this narrative going. I'm surprised they didn't really, because if they did, I would have been like, okay, CNN jumped on this bandwagon too. There's more to it. But I already figured out the more to it. The more to it is the federal government, the Department of Justice, Department of National Security, Homeland Security, literally warned Twitter about this laptop and told them that it was Russian disinformation. That alone is election interference. And people, all these big social media guys, they need to stop focusing on the DNC and Biden. No, focus on the fact that there were Biden people that were with our Homeland Security, Biden people that were with the Department of Justice, Biden people, Biden sympathizers, whatever you want to call them, that were in the office or Department of National Security. Those people are the ones that not only they committed treason in my book, but not only that, they sued, they put together this masterful plan to force Twitter to censor the story before it came out for months leading up to it. And once you think like that, then you know what you do? Then you realize that those emails going back and forth between everybody, all the heads of all the different departments where they're like, can we say this? Can we do that? They didn't know. They've been told and coached that the information they got was from Russia. They even, in those meetings, they even said they believed the target would be Hunter Biden. Twitter had no choice but to censor it because the federal government was meeting with them every week saying they're going to leak info about Hunter Biden. It's Russia. It's Russia. It's Russia. The only thing I think this did is absolves Twitter because it caused a couple of people to actually go out and do some due diligence and research. And now we know that Twitter is corrupt, or that the Department of Justice and National Security and Homeland Security worked to coordinate this. And Twitter had no choice. Mad Hatter said, stop trying to give them a damn out. You're not listening. Mad Hatter, this is what I need you to do, okay? And it's trust me, I'm not picking on you right now. I need you to take the last 20 minutes because I'm going to end the show in a minute. Take the last 20 minutes, play it again. If you still don't understand it, take the last 20 minutes, play it again. If you still don't understand it, take the last 20 minutes, play it again. And guess what? You'll fucking get it. It's hard, man. It's hard sometimes to see something that doesn't necessarily align with what you're being told. I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to be mean or anything like that. What I'm telling you is listen to what I said a couple of times, and then you'll see. Go to the link that I put in the chat. Look at that document, the signed document from whatever his fucking name was. That link, it's in your chat right now. And you'll see it. The FEC, that's a government website that you're getting the document on that is literally just saying everything I just said. Everything I just said. And if you're saying, oh, you're giving the Twitter an out, I don't care. I believe a company could make their own editorial decisions. Does it suck? Yeah. I can't monetize a fucking video on YouTube. It sucks. Trust me. The only way I make money is when you guys buy stuff or when you send super chats or cash apps or I don't make money any other way because they won't monetize my videos. But that's the fact, but I believe YouTube has the right to do that as much as it sucks. They have the right to do that as long as they're doing it for the right reason. When you ban me and say I'm saying election interference or election F when I'm not, then it's a difference. Or you're saying I'm being racist and I'm not, that's the difference. That's not what's happening in these cases. They banned 7 people that put up Hunter Biden dick pics. That's what happened. They took 7 people and banned them, took them off of Twitter because they posted negative or nude photos of Hunter Biden. It's not because it was hacked material. They literally write it. The one where it says PPI, that's because it was it was personal imagery that they didn't have permission to publish. If they kept that up, Hunter Biden would have been able to sue Twitter. I'm just telling you. That's the truth. And I hope you guys share this video out. Everyone has permission to use the last 20 minutes of this video. Share it out. Cut it, share it out. The little clips, whatever, because the federal government literally coordinated this whole thing and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Who is? Have you heard anybody else really bring this to light? Yeah, sure. Tucker Carlson talked a little bit on it with the Melinda Devine or whatever her name is last night. But she's not even going to dump it all because she wants to write this big elaborate article tomorrow. I don't know. And like I said, I think this whole data dump, I think it was an advertisement so they could see how many users went on social media. When they said that, when he saw that like Elon Musk laughed, I'm like, that's all it's about. It's just about getting users on the platform. And it was brilliant. Like you would think, like if Elon Musk really wants users and all that stuff, start buying the licenses to sporting events and things like that and broadcast it exclusively on Twitter. He's going to get people. Anyway, guys, I will see you probably tomorrow. I'll probably end up doing another show. I'll probably just do another show tomorrow saying all the same stuff I just said today, but tamer. So that way, you know, the people that don't like High Strong Steve don't get all worked up. All right. But I appreciate all you guys for watching. Everyone that did support the stream tonight, you are my favorite. Because in all reality, I can't do this forever unless we continue to get the support from you guys. And I'll do it until I can't anymore. But I appreciate you guys. Anyone that wants to support the stream, you could do so via the link in the chat right there. It looks like I already got taken off of Twitch. So unless no, I'm on Twitch, but it won't let me share that link to Twitch. But yeah, you could find it on the donate page on the Angry Turnip. But yeah, you could send Cash Apps, Venmos, PayPals, whatever you want over there. Credit card, Zelle. And I appreciate all you guys. Yeah, I'll see you probably tomorrow. I'll probably, do another Tamer live video talking about what I really found out.